What is up, team, and welcome back to the Technical Foul Podcast. As always, you're joined by the three of us. I'm Jack Anderson. To my right is JP Pusilowski, and to my left is Sanders Oakley. How you feeling today, boys? We ready to hit the road after the show? What are the vibes like?
JP walked in here grinning, and now he's got me grinning. I'm ready
also
to be
grinning.
on the road. We were just talking about some of the stuff we've got that'll happen on the trip. It's gonna be a fun time for sure. We've got a restaurant that we're gonna go to that we're gonna enjoy. We went there 2 years ago with some friends.
I feel like it's more apt to be like it's the restaurant.
Not a restaurant, it's the restaurant.
Yeah.
It's like the Ohio State University.
Correct, exactly.
We're not gonna name them until they pay us. We don't do anything for free on here.
100%. Hail State, Sven.
Hail State, Sven. Welcome in. But yeah, no, looking forward to 2 hours in the car tonight, getting to spend the night with my family. They're going to cook dinner for us. My
Huge.
mom is. And then getting on the road early tomorrow morning, trying to get to CSTAT as soon as possible to hang out. Because last year, I don't know the time when you got there. We got there at like 1 a.m.
We got there. We left as early as we could to get in town so we could eat Torchy's before it closed.
Okay.
And that was like Lucy's first time meeting family and stuff, which is crazy to think about now considering we're married.
Yeah.
But yeah, we
Y'all
tried to
had
make
been
it.
dating for like a month at the time?
Yeah, just
Not
over
even?
a month.
Okay, just over. Not long.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
she rode with you and
It was just me.
just you?
Yeah, we took the
That's
whole
right,
way
'cause
down and back.
Were y'all supposed to ride? I don't remember. It was
We were maybe gonna have
chaotic
someone else
trip.
in our car, and
Yeah.
then they ended up riding with someone else.
Reese will not play. We will get blown out by the Aggies.
Sven bringing the pessimism.
We will get
quickly.
there, Sven.
We'll get there pretty fast as
yeah,
well.
we
but
do. I told you, I was like, do we want to do a 15-minute show so we can get on the road? But I think we're going to keep it the usual 2.5 hours-ish.
We can't be short even if we wanted to.
No,
Let's
we
be
could
real.
not. JP, how are you feeling? I've been talking.
Something happened and I tried to get some inside knowledge, but my inside knowledge hasn't responded.
Brutal.
But in the past, 3 hours, the spread has moved 2 points between Mississippi State and Texas A&M,
Wow.
and I have no confirmation of why.
Do you have a hunch as to why?
My hunch is Brennan Thompson is not playing.
Okay.
That is my hunch at the moment, and I asked that question to my inside source, but I haven't got a response yet. They potentially may be practicing right now, though, so
They probably are.
I would assume so.
Probably last practice, and then you wrap it up, hit the road tomorrow.
Yeah.
Does he move the line 2 points?
Yeah.
Really?
You lose your best explosive weapon.
Yeah, I just know, like, in the NFL, like realistically, quarterbacks are, like, the only guys that move the lines that much.
It may be Reese being ruled out on top of
Could
it.
be,
That'd
both.
A combination of both.
there.
I think it's also because of all of y'all's injuries, it's already like leaning that way, and so like even just like another push of another injury
Yeah.
can just like
And
send
I
it even further.
I think that the money has been. I know Josh Pate has been like pushing us to cover, so I don't know if money's been coming in on us, and that's kind of been holding it. Like you said, the injuries have been pushing it one way, money's been coming in holding it, and then the final. If Brennan Thompson was the final domino, we'll get to all that. I don't want to get into Mississippi State before we get there, but we want to go and start.
Yeah, let's do it. Y'all know the deal by now. We're gonna go through our people's poll, thanks to all who voted, and then we'll get to the Mississippi State game, which is typically y'all's rodeo, but I'm gonna take a little more active part this week as y'all are playing my Aggies. Then we'll do the Technical Foul Fan Game of the Week, a couple more college football games, and a couple NFL games. We'll get to JP's best bets, all three of which are gonna hit this week. Calling it now. No pressure, JP.
Okay.
And then we'll get out of here and hit the road. But yeah, Sanders, you can take it away with the people's poll.
technically have to pack, but
That'll be quick.
that'll take me, I think, 6 minutes. Yeah, I'll start it right off. So this is our people's poll. We vote in it. It's at T25sports.com. It's a website I created. It's pretty fun, but basically we vote in it. Listeners vote in it. I have family, friends that all vote in it. And then we kind of go over the consensus rankings and some of the highlights every show on Thursday. I'll go ahead and start it off, put it up here on the screen. Ohio State stays at number 1. Oregon moves up 3 after a big win at Penn State. Ole Miss jumps all the way up to 6, so they cracked the top 10, moving from 17, I believe. Penn State only drops 5. Alabama and Georgia both, one moves up 9, one drops 9 respectively, and now they sit at 10 and 11. Let's see. Iowa State still moves up. LSU drops 10 all the way down to 16. Florida State drops 9 to 18. And then we have 3 new teams ranked: Illinois, Virginia, and Arizona State. Unfortunately, we had some attempts to get Houston ranked. They did not quite make it. Houston lands at 26th.
Brutal.
I know one voter, Cromie, had them ranked at 10th. I sat there while he was making his ballot or submitting his ballot. He'd already made it, but he was like revealing it to me earlier today. And yeah, he had them at 10. Did not. They were like, they are, let me check, 2 points off of being ranked. So close.
I think only 2 people ranked him.
Yeah, him. Did you rank him?
I did rank him.
Yeah, so he ranked him 10th and you ranked him 25th. You gave him
24th.
like 24th. You tried to get him in, sneak him in. Did not happen. But I will go ahead and say it now. If they win this weekend, they will be ranked. I might have them in the top 15. We'll
What
see.
a bold take. No, you probably have in the top 10.
No,
there's
not
just
the top
no
10.
way.
I mean, that's a good resume.
That's what. But other teams are now getting multiple
Sure.
good wins.
Sure.
Y'all.
Well, I mean, winning at Oregon State, late night game, that's pretty tough environment.
Hey, and they had to overcome a lot to
They
get
did
there.
have to overcome a lot. Late deficit.
And they made the big play when it mattered. Highlights.
I don't know if they had to overcome a lot, but
10 voters as of 10 voters
self-inflicted
still.
things.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about. They had to overcome their own like trying to shoot themselves
Their
in the
own
foot.
bad play.
10 voters so far. If you haven't voted yet, you should go do it. 17 teams appeared on every ballot. There were 5 teams that appeared on 9 of the 10 ballots. Those teams were Vanderbilt, Arizona State, Texas, LSU, and Illinois. Vanderbilt, Chuck March continues to not rank.
He's not ranked once?
I don't think he's had them
Okay,
ranked
wow.
once. I actually will get into I texted him this week because there was he made a minor error that he corrected, but like it was an error that deserved a text. I was like, hey, what's going on here? We'll get to that. Arizona State, Andrew B did not rank, and then Cromie does not rank
He
Texas,
just does not care at all.
LSU, or Illinois. The Illinois one is fine. I have no problem with him not ranking Illinois, but not ranking Texas and LSU. I was talking to him earlier today, and he said Texas hasn't done anything to deserve being ranked, and he thinks LSU is just really, really bad.
Okay.
So I guess both of those are takes. I don't know about good takes, fair takes, but those are his thoughts. ACC has 4 teams ranked. The ACC gains a team this week, adding Virginia, I believe. Yep, Virginia. So they're up to 4. Big 12 sits there at 3. Big 10 loses a team after
USC fell out.
Washington falls out.
Are we sure?
And US.
And then Illinois probably jumped back
Illinois
in.
jump back in.
Yeah.
So Washington, USC drop out. Illinois moves in. SEC sits there at 11, same as last week, and then Notre Dame is our one independent team ranked. I already hit it earlier, but I'll run through some quick highlights again. Ole Miss jumps 11, Alabama jumps 9, Georgia drops 9 to sit right next to each other. LSU loses 10, Florida State drops 10. And then here is, and we don't have to get into this because I don't know how, I think we're all going to be on the same page. CCDF and MF Water both have Georgia ranked ahead of Alabama. And in my opinion, I can see, like, and this is maybe a little bit like trying to like cover my own butt, but like having Florida State still ranked ahead of Virginia. Like if you've got like a large gap there, if you say, okay, this team, they got upset, but this team is still so much better than this other team. So like I'm going to have them ranked ahead, right?
Sure.
But when you've got, I think they both have, one of them have them right. MF Water has them.
They're right next to each other.
Right next to each
it's like
other.
9 and 10 on his ballot.
I've got it right here. He has Georgia at 9, Alabama at 10. CCDF has Georgia at 10, Alabama at 12. That's where I'm like, okay, so like you recognize these teams are like right there.
Sure.
But like the head-to-head isn't enough, especially when the road team wins, to like give the team that won the nod. That's where I'm like, wow, that's kind of crazy. And like I said, I don't have Virginia ahead of Florida State, even though they have the head-to-head. But I think there's a difference when you have two teams ranked right next to each other and you just kind of ignore the head-to-head to be like, yeah, but I still think this team's better. So
I mean, I think that's fair, but
I didn't think we were going to talk too long about that because I figured y'all would agree. Sven's in the chat, so let's address what he's saying. To rank Texas at 12 is why. They nearly beat El Paso, El Antonio, and El Nobody, and have the 114th ranked offense with an absolute useless and terrible quarterback who gives them zero chance to make the playoffs.
I can address their defense is still elite. And I do think we've seen small strides from Arch. I definitely, my expectations have tampered down immensely. But he's slowly looking more comfortable. And once again, that defense is so good that you don't necessarily have to be a well-rounded team in college football to be a top 25 team. So that's why.
And let's just not forget what happened week 1. They were in a competitive
Correct.
game in the Horseshoe.
With the number one team in the nation.
Yeah. And a lot of people's eyes, the number one team in the nation, who never loses at home and plays really well at home, unless they're playing Michigan. So I think your two, like the high-profile game they've played, they were right there in it. And their defense kept them in it, and they had a chance. They had the ball with a chance to go take the lead under 5
100%.
minutes.
Yeah.
We'll see this weekend, I think, another high-profile game against Florida. That's their first SEC game, so they'll play more
Yeah.
of a high profile, and I
They're-
think we'll get more answers there.
Their defensive stats, they rank second in opponent points per game, second in opponent yards per game, first in opponent yards per play, seventh in opponent third down conversion rate. They rank fifth in opponent yards per rush. They allow 2.1 yards per rush. Third in opponent yards per pass, under 5. I mean, it's very impressive. And yeah, so the offense doesn't look great right now. It doesn't look like it did last year. And Arch has definitely had issues, but like you said, the defense is still really, really good. Sven doesn't see having Mississippi State and Arizona State ranked. I don't know. I don't really know your problem with that. Arizona State now has a big win in the Big 12 over TCU.
Yeah.
And then a close loss at Mississippi State, who in turn has a close loss to Tennessee. Like, I'm not trying to use circular logic, but I guess if you're of the opinion that if you're low on Tennessee and Arizona State and Mississippi State and TCU, then it makes sense. But if you're high on one of those teams, I feel like it kind of raises the floor for
Sure.
all 4 of those teams. We beat 4 bad teams and lost at home to a mediocre Tennessee team. So he's low on Tennessee. So there's the answer to that question: is he's
Yeah.
low on Tennessee
And Arizona State.
and Arizona State. I am not low on Tennessee. I think Tennessee's looked really good. Missouri and Vandy both way over LSU. Is that where they are, or is that where he's saying they should be?
I'm assuming he says that's where they should be. I doubt they're way over LSU and R. Their Vandy is below.
Vandy
At
is
least.
at 17 and LSU is at 16. Missouri's at 19. So he's saying they should
Yeah.
be. Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I have both. I have Vandy over LSU. I don't know if I have Missouri over LSU. Michigan beat who? The Cornhuskers.
I mean, I think the Cornhuskers are a solid team. So,
Yeah, and they did it in
And-
Nebraska.
Yeah, and their losses to a team that we have in the top 7 or top 5 actually.
Top
so.
5, yeah, Oklahoma.
But
Mississippi State will beat Texas at home. Will score 24 points, and that is more than enough to beat them.
the best way to make your qualms heard is to vote.
Yeah.
So go vote if you want to. But I think we should move on. We've talked about the People's Poll enough. But thanks, Sanders, for taking us through that.
No problem.
All right, team. Possibly the biggest college football game for us this season in terms of this show. Y'all's Mississippi State Bulldogs go on the road to face my Texas A&M Aggies. In the night game, it's going to be a blackout. The spread is it up to 16.5 now?
Okay, so it's 16.5 on ESPN.
Okay.
On FanDuel, it's 14.5.
So I'm going to keep it at 14.5 then.
No, we've been doing ESPN.
We've been doing
spreads
ESPN?
the
Okay.
entire year.
Never mind then. 16.5
So it's
ESPN.
16.5. On the offshore site I gamble on, it's 15. And I haven't. I was about to check DraftKings, but I haven't checked DraftKings yet. So someone's getting knowledge and someone's not getting knowledge.
Gotcha.
But that makes me think that wouldn't be a Brennan Thompson thing, because I feel like if one isn't,
Well,
would it?
ESPN has Pete Thamel,
Okay.
but I don't think Pete Thamel is in line with the sports books. But
Sure.
I don't know what's going on. To be honest, I can't explain it right now. I'm also trying to look up to see if someone has put a large sum of cash on A&M minus 14.5 on just ESPN Sportsbook. And that is a reason it could move a line 2 points.
So
but-
you're being Nancy
That would
Drew
have to be
over
a
there.
huge sum, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
All right.
but it's A&M.
Can you give us?
A&M
Do
donors,
you
you know.
have?
Mattress
could you
Matt
give us
could've
like an
come through.
idea of like the amount? Do you have any idea how much it would have to be?
It would have to be millions of dollars.
Wow.
That is bold of them.
Wow.
To move it 2 points
Yeah, that's kind. I
Yeah.
assumed it would have to be big.
and for it to be a 2 point different spread than it is on FanDuel, that's, yeah.
Okay.
What if this is still the spread and we are driving through Louisiana tomorrow? I'll be putting all of my bonus bets that I would get from ESPN on this
Okay.
16 and a
State to
half.
cover 16.5.
Yeah.
Even with potential Brendan Thompson being ruled out.
16 and a half is so many points.
Yeah.
They just played
Um,
Jackson Arnold and only won by 6.
Do
Well,
we want to
there's a lot of
discuss the
reasons for that.
possibility of doing like making our official picks tomorrow once we have a better idea of what the spread is, or are we just going to stick to doing the ESPN? You said it's 16.5 on ESPN?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to leave it open to we could repick if we hear something different on Brendan Thompson.
I think we make our picks with the option to caveat barring it, like with injury news.
Yeah,
Okay, okay.
I'm
And we
fine
can
with
and we
it.
can tweet it out if we change picks.
All right, I like that. I
But
just
I don't
want
want to just not pick the game.
and I also don't want any of us to be like, we find out that, I don't know,
I mean, we've been screwed
True.
multiple times by stuff
True.
like that, so it is what it is. Is how we've chosen to do it. We've made it hard on ourselves.
at least it's not as hard as Winter Festivities Board having to pick and also pick the winner.
You got to get the outright winner and the spread correct, which is just brutal.
Yeah.
I don't know why we did that, but we've been doing it for years.
Let's do the game.
Yeah, Sanders, what's your key point for the game?
Oh, Schubert, I was not expecting you to come to me. I mean, it will be injuries. So
Okay.
Isaac
Valid.
Smith listed as questionable on Wednesday's report. Darian Gullett, who hasn't played in several weeks, didn't play against Tennessee, and I don't think he played the week before that either. But he was very good for us in the first couple weeks against Southern and Alcorn State. Brendan Thompson was probable, so that's kind of why I don't know if he's been downgraded to questionable or even out.
DraftKings spread is 15 and a half, so it's everywhere.
All right, cool. So like, how does that? The injuries. Does Brendan Thompson play? Does Gullett play? Does Isaac Smith play? Albert Reese being listed as out definitely does hurt because our offensive line struggled a lot in pass blocking last week against Tennessee, and so that'll be a big question mark. Is do we have time? Does Blake Shapen have time in the pocket?
We haven't gotten official that Albert Reese is ruled out.
He's questionable,
Was
right?
he questionable?
Finn is the only one who's telling us he's officially out.
I thought Sven is telling us he's out. Okay.
Blake Steen and Whit Whitson are the only
That's
two
who's
that are
out, thank
officially
you.
out.
So we don't know about Albert Reese then.
Which those are both out for the season at this point, right?
Yeah,
Yes,
they've
they're
been
both out for
since
the
Arizona
season.
State.
And then also true road game. Like our first game of the season was at Southern Miss. No disrespect to Hattiesburg, but playing at Southern Miss is not the same thing as playing at College Station.
One could argue they're comparable.
They are both football stadiums.
Correct.
And that might be where the comparisons stop. They were probably both full of maroon. I don't know if you want to say that we traveled well to Hattiesburg.
Sure.
Anyway, how does this team that hasn't had a true road test yet look in one of the hardest road environments in the country at Kyle Field? How much of an impact, like how much can Fluff Bothwell do? Right, so he looked really good last week. He had over 100 yards, 2 touchdowns. Devon Booth picked up a touchdown. And kind of the run game is what carried us last week. It's what kept us in the game. It's what gave us a chance of winning because the majority of our mistakes came on pass attempts, unfortunately. We did a good job of protecting the ball and picking up 4 or 5 yards of carry when we did it on the ground. Fluff averaged over 5 yards of carry. Can we do that again without Albert Reese, with or without him? Still don't know about him. What does A&M do? Do they stack the box to take that away if Thompson is ruled out? And then we've been talking about this, Jack and Cromie set the line for this. Penalties. These teams rank 131st and 134th in the country in penalties per game.
Yeah. State
has 9.3. A&M has 9.5. That's really sloppy. Does A&M have an advantage? Do they force false starts because it's in Kyle Field? Can they clean up some of their own penalties? The line Cromie set was 18.5 penalties. JP, you took the under on that. I would love to hear your explanation at some point. I think I would take the over on 18.5 penalties between the two teams. And then the last thing, and this is and if it comes to a wild situation, and I almost made this point for the Tennessee game and forgot, and it almost impacted the game, is kicking. I still like Kyle Ferry a lot as our kicker. I think he's a very good kicker, holds the school record for longest field goal attempt, or longest made field goal. Misses a field goal last week. Max Gilbert also misses a field goal, so we end up going to overtime. But I still think Kyle Ferry is a great kicker. If we find ourselves in a situation where this game comes down to like 2-3 points, an extra point, I like our chances as far as kicking goes far better than y'all's because y'all have bounced back and forth between two kickers. Is that right?
Yeah, so Randy Bond's been kicker the past 2 years, and then Jared Zirkle came in and just outright won the job and was the kicker for our first game, and then gets hurt, so then it's like Randy Bond again, and then Zirkle I think is back now, but Randy Bond had kicked well, so then it was just back to Randy Bond's job, and then he misses 2 kicks Saturday, so now I don't know what the plan is going to be moving forward. If it is Randy Bond, he is the guy that won't really miss inside of 40 yards, but you get him out to 50, and it's pretty hit or miss. So
So those are kind of my things to watch. Injuries, pass protection, can Bothwell run the ball like he did last week, and then penalties. Did I say penalties? Maybe. And then
Yeah.
kicking. So those are some of the things I've got to watch. JP?
Yeah, penalties. I'm taking the under because of what Elko said earlier this week.
that was
is
pretty
true.
funny.
That was
You
fire.
gotta hope that
I think
Can we get a quote for the people that didn't see it?
essentially
Yeah.
Elko said that if with the penalties that A&M's been committing, that they're not introducing like a new like thing in practice where they're going to run a bunch of sprints. They're essentially going to take the players' money from their NIL and put it towards the coaches' Cabo fund going forward. So any penalty that they commit will be money out of their pockets and into the pocket of coaches. I don't know the legality on that.
I
I
feel
was
like he
kinda
was
wondering.
joking, but fire comments regardless. And I wish he wasn't joking because I think that would actually help the penalties.
And I think because of that, you'll see a more disciplined A&M team at least.
18.5 is also very high. I mean, if you add the numbers of average together, it's like just over 18.5.
Yeah.
So, and A&M's is that high because we committed 13 last week, which I guess we could do again. But
No, I think biggest key is just going to be how do we play emotionally. You start the season with a good emotional win at Southern Miss, come home, win a program-defining game against Arizona State, rest of the field, emotional high. You're hosting Tennessee 4-0. You're in the game. You give up 14 points to them. You go to overtime. You can't convert on 4th and goal. Tennessee wins at home in your building in a game you feel like you should have won. Emotional low. How do then you respond a week later playing on the road in the SEC? I think that's the key to it. I expect the team to be ready, though. I think State's going to play well. I will play a lot better than we did, I think, 2 years ago in Kyle Field.
I would hope so.
I would expect at least.
That was a Chris Parsons start, wasn't it?
It was Chris Parsons' first start. It was a true road start for him as well. He ends up throwing 2 picks in the first half, neither of which, in my opinion, were really necessarily his fault. But he ends up getting pulled, and Mike Wright comes in the second half. They start a third-string quarterback. Third-string quarterback Cooks.
he's now the starter at West Virginia.
Both coaches get fired. Aggies improved to 6-4, and the Dogs disimproved to 4-6. That's obviously not going to happen this time around. And the circumstances are different, I think. We've got a quarterback who's played in road environments before. It's not his first true road game.
Yeah.
By any means. It's a lot of the team's first true road game.
Is it his first SEC road game because of injury last year?
Yes.
Okay.
It will be his first SEC road game, unless he played one at Baylor, which I don't think he did. But I think the team will respond. I think they'll play well. For me, keys to the game on both sides is going to be 2 things. It's third down converting. A&M is 30% on third down this year. That's 125th in the country. And then for us, we've got to convert third downs because Auburn was 0 for 13 on third down last week.
Yeah.
So those are 2 huge ones on both sides for both offenses. Who converts more third downs, I think, tells the story to the game. I think that's an early padlock stat right there. Just who converts more at a higher rate, I guess I'll say. more so than just more third downs in general.
Sure.
My other key is run the damn ball on both sides. Le'Veon Moss, if he cooks, has more rushing yards than State does, A&M wins. If Bothwell has more rushing yards than A&M does, though, I think we have a chance. A&M ran for 200-plus last week on Auburn, and that was a huge part of them controlling the game and keeping Auburn away. And then also, of course, holding Jackson Arnold to 0 for 13, sacking him a ton. And then two keys for us, the Bulldogs, that is. We got to win the turnover battle. A&M's only turned the ball over 3 times this year. They've been really good at protecting the football. We're still +8 in the turnover margin. That's top 20 in the country. If we can force a turnover in this game, I think it played a huge factor last week.
Yeah.
If you don't spot them 14 points, we win that game easily because of the Joey Aguilar turnovers and what we were able to score 14 points off of Aguilar's turnovers. But unfortunately, we turned over, and so did they. So I think that's huge in this game, is forcing Marcel Reed to play 3rd and 7+, and maybe he throws some picks, keeping him contained, of course, with his running threat. And then I actually have a lot of faith in the DBs with how they played last week, and I don't know if it was intentional, and I'm actually really upset that no one asked. None of our reporters asked in the post-game press conference or earlier this week. Kelly Jones and Diago Brunfield played pretty much the entire first half. But for the entire second half, Jet Jefferson played, and what's his name?
Javen Williams.
Javen Williams played, and Jerron Manning played. And those were our 3 main DBs for the most part of the entire second half. Brylan Lanier played both sides, Isaac Smith as well. So they got a ton of snaps against Tennessee's passing attack and Chris Brazell, and I don't think they'll not be up to the task for KC and Mario. Different threat, obviously. They're a lot faster. Brazell's more of a one-on-one. He's 6'5", so he's a lot harder to guard, and he's shown that against Georgia, and a touchdown he should have had last week that was called back. So I think they'll be up to the task, and I'm not too worried about how they'll play against Mario and KC, to be honest. I really just think, can we stop the run again like we did last week? Can we win the turnover battle? And then third down. Tell us the story of the game.
Yeah.
And then my last one would be penalties, of course. I agree 100%. I think A&M, like I said, is going to be pretty disciplined.
I hope so.
I just hope we don't have pre-snap penalties is the biggest thing.
Yeah, that's what's plagued us the most.
Yeah. Those would be my keys to the game, though. Third down, running the ball.
And that's going to be the hardest thing to keep under control on the road, is those pre-snap false starts, illegal motions.
Sure.
Jack, I have another thing to talk about, but also I know you've got some key takeaways because this is also your team. Do you wanna run through yours?
I will, and like a lot of them are kind of aligned with what y'all say. A&M's only converting 30% on third down, which a ton of that is due to penalties. We find ourselves in 3rd and long a ton because of that, and we're just not really built to convert those. I mean, most teams aren't. Marcel Reed is great at protecting the football, and we need that to continue. He has 2 picks this year. The third turnover was the backup QB in the Utah State game. Just threw it right to a defender. So, I mean, it's still a turnover for a team, but Marcel Reed has turned the ball over twice, and I just need him to continue to protect the football. A weird thing about him, he's not really ran it much this season, and I actually don't like that. Like, last year, he was too happy to just, like, immediately, first read's not there, take off. Now it's like, bro, you have this massive running lane, but, like, you're just trying too hard almost to be a passer, right? Like, go take the 10 yards that they're giving you instead of trying to find somebody open. In terms of y'all's DBs, guarding a wide receiver is a completely different task. The bigger thing you got to watch out is, like, when we kick a ball out to Mario Craver on the screen or Casey Concepcion on the screen or, like, on a slant, you got to get them down to the ground. Don't let them break a tackle, and then once they break that first tackle, they're quick. They're shifty. They get even harder to bring down at that point. And then, yeah, run the damn ball. Le'Veon Moss looked like himself last week for the first time. He's coming back from a torn ACL last season, and the coaching staff's been pretty open about that, too, of, like, it's taking him time to get back 100% to feel like himself. And he just ran all over an Auburn front. That is a pretty good, front at stopping the run. And he was playing through a stomach bug too, so just great performance from him. But I just want to see that continue. I just want to see him dominate because realistically our offensive front, in terms of our offensive line, should be able to control this game. Blair Moshpit should be able to have a big game, so let's just go out and execute that.
Absolutely.
The other thing I'll be monitoring is what do we do at linebacker? We kind of have like a good problem right now, and that is we have too many guys who like we wish could play. Zachary Tillman had a great game against Tennessee. Darian Gullett is now probable to play after missing a couple games, but he looked great in the first couple weeks when he was playing. And then Tyler Lockhart saw time against Tennessee, looked really good. He's a 4-star freshman.
I think he almost had double-digit tackles.
I think he was second on the team in tackles. Like he looked fantastic. And so those three guys all play the same position. I don't know which one. It's the W. Is that the wide linebacker, JP?
The W.
So on the R lads, it's just listed as WLB. So you've
okay.
got you've got Jack, WLB, middle linebacker, and then LCB. That's the left cornerback.
I would call them. So we call them the dime linebacker.
Okay.
Which is also technically another DB, but in our system it's a linebacker. The WLB, I guess, would be an outside linebacker.
Okay.
Crazy
more
notation
often
there.
than not, it's
Yeah, I've never seen that before.
it's the guy who plays the strong side.
Yeah.
But that's
and-
just a great problem to have, where it's like you've got 4-star out of high
Agreed.
school, a freshman who played really well, a transfer in Gullett. I can't remember where he came from. He's not. Is he the guy from? We had a guy from Tennessee, a guy from A&M, and a guy from Texas. I can't remember which one he is. He may not be any of those.
He's not the guy from A&M
and then
because that's Malik Silla.
Yeah, and then yes, thank you. And then it's Zachary Tillman, another guy who we've had in the program, a junior, playing really well. So I'll be interested to see how they manage that. I will never complain about having too many good players to start. But yeah, that'll be something to keep your eye on. Is what do we do at linebacker?
Darion's from Texas.
Okay, thank you. So he's 1-0 against A&M right now, something like that.
Yeah.
Yes, he technically didn't play a snap in that. But yes.
He was on the team, so he gets the win. That's how that works.
No, that's a good problem to have, though. It helped us, I think, a lot last week. We rotated linebackers a ton, especially in the second half, as A&M or as Tennessee, I should say, got going, and that'll help us a ton, I think, this week as well, with stopping the run, because one of the best traits of Le'Veon Moss is just attrition. If he gets once he gets like 20 carries, the 21st, the 22nd are that much harder for you to bring him down. It's something you see from like Derrick Henry. It's just you can tackle him the first 5 times.
Yeah.
But once you've tackled him to try to tackle him a 6th time, then it starts to hurt a little bit more. And being able to rotate fresh bodies will help a ton with that. And so right now that's a good problem to have, is having depth, especially at a very important position in the linebacking core. I'll be interested to see like how we use them as well as a form of getting after the passer. I was kind of disappointed with that last week with Joey Aguilar in Tennessee. It felt like, it didn't even feel like, it was obvious. He just had way more time to stand back there and throw than Blake Shapen did. And even in key moments, too, as well. When they're making the drive down the field to tie the game on 4th and 5, Aguilar is able to basically kind of sit back there for almost 5 seconds and then find Brazel over the middle of the field. Brazel makes a beautiful catch behind him. But that's like a critical down. If we can't get to the passer in that scenario, are we ever going to be able to get to the passer when it's so obvious that they're going to throw the ball? If we're able to find some semblance of that, it makes it harder to get it to Mario and KC down the field. And I hope to just see a better performance at that this week. I would argue we'll be facing a tougher offensive line in Texas A&M than Tennessee, but you got to find a way to get after the passer somehow. And then we've got to play the fine line game of getting after Marcel but not letting a break contain.
Sure.
which would be interesting to see. But I just want to see improvement on that, regardless. Even if Marcel breaks contain, I'd love to see the free rushes that Auburn got last week against Marcel. There were a couple moments throughout that game where Marcel was just eaten alive almost immediately. We haven't really seen that from State, and we certainly didn't see that last week. So I just want to see better there.
Fair. All right. Well, any final points before we pick this game?
Nope.
All right. Well, after much debate and talking about different spreads, we are picking 16.5 because that's what ESPN has. I'll go first. I think A&M wins this game. I just feel like State's kind of running out of steam in this stretch a little bit, trying to get to the bye week. The injuries are mounting up. And I'm going to trust what Mike Elko's doing. So I think we win. I think we win by about 10, something like that. But I am going to pick State to cover. 16.5 just seems like, because even if we win by 2 touchdowns, which is a result I'd be very happy with, that's still not covering the spread. So I'm going to take State to cover. You did put A&M, by the way, to cover on me.
What? That's what. Oh, you said that's right.
Hey,
Sorry.
I have A&M winning, but
Yeah, my bad.
I have
No,
State
I'm just trying to
covering
hurt your
16.5.
picks. JP.
Subject to Brennan Thompson being ruled out, I am taking the Dogs to cover 16.5 easily. I would even say it's would be one of my best bets of the week if you could find 16.5 in an SEC game between these two schools. I don't think it's. I think this program is way better than the program it was 2 years ago, and so 16.5 points is just insane.
You could lose by 16.5 or 17, and that's still a whole lot better than you did 2 years ago.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
But I agree.
I just think there's way more avenues for. There's backdoor covers in there. This game is tied in the fourth quarter. This game is tied at halftime, and A&M wins the second half by 14. There's just too many ways for 16.5 to be covered.
Yeah.
If Brennan Thompson plays, give me the classic, whatever y'all call it, the Aggie curse or whatever.
Battered Aggie syndrome.
I'll take the Dogs to win
Wow.
in Kyle Field.
You're going to make Mike Elko mad with
and
that.
go 5-1. I think they'll shock the world if Brennan Thompson can play, because I think that'll be a large part of it. I think Bothwell's going to have a good day. I think he's going to run the ball well again. Although Auburn didn't run it well last week, I think we'll find.
Because Hugh Freeze is an idiot.
And they also don't have a quarterback who can throw the ball.
Yeah.
And so you're able to load the box. You know the run's coming way more often. In this case, Shapen's going to be able to throw it way better than Jackson Arnold. And with Brennan Thompson, you're going to have to at least respect that early on. I think Bothwell runs it well in the first half. We've hit our deep shots in the second. And the Dogs win in a thriller shootout. I'll take the over on the total, which dropped 3 points down to 55.5 as well. Dogs win at Kyle Field this Saturday.
Yeah, I will also be picking State to cover 16.5. Like, I'm not gonna lie, that's like excitingly close for a road SEC game when you have to think about where we were a year ago. And I don't want to harp on that because, like, you know, we aren't where we were a year ago, but just like losing to Florida by 17, losing to Texas by 22, losing to Tennessee by 19. If you could have told me that, like, we're going to be going into a top 10 A&M at Kyle Field, like, and they're only favored by 16.5, I would have taken that. We've got a chance, just like we had a chance against Tennessee. Unfortunately, we weren't quite able to capitalize on that with the ball down to tied game with 2 minutes left. We weren't able to capitalize, but, like, we had a shot there, and I think we've got not just as good a shot. You know, it's on the road, but I do think we have a shot. So I'm going to let the homer in me speak a little bit, and I'm going to pick us to win and cover, or cover and win. Just win, because win would be covering.
Yeah. There is no or there. You got to have both if State's going to win. All right, well, we'll reconvene on Sunday. We're going to have to figure out what we're doing for our recap show, actually, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, it may have to be a Monday show, but we'll figure it out.
When are we getting home on Sunday?
It's going to be after
It's going to be like
church,
10, probably.
so, like,
9.
Oh, we could do it.
Okay.
We could do it in the car. We'll put the three of us in the back seat and have
All right.
the camera
We
turned
gotta
around.
come here anyway.
True.
True.
Well, let's get to the fan game of the week now, which we had a bit of controversy here because we had a late push for Texas Tech at Houston, but we had already had it down as Army at UAB, so that's at least what we're going to start with because I'd already done research and didn't feel like last minute changing it. But we will pick the Texas Tech at Houston game on the side just to try and appease both parties there. But yeah, Army goes to UAB for an 11 o'clock kickoff. They're 1-3 with their one win being against Kansas State, but they're 7.5-point favorites on the road at UAB. Any thoughts on this game, guys? I can take it away if need be.
I don't have a preliminary thought.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
The biggest thing sticks out to me immediately. UAB struggles to stop the run, allows over 200 rushing yards a game, and that's what Army obviously is going to want to do, like to do every year with Dwayne Coleman, Noah Short, and Cale Helms, which, interestingly enough, 2 of those guys are QBs and one of those guys is a wide receiver, and those are their 3 leading rushers. Dwayne Coleman and Cale Helms are the 2 QBs, and they basically can't decide who to start, as well as Dwayne Coleman and Cale Helms have both been beat up. So it's kind of a weird situation. And then Noah Short's a wide receiver who also led the team in passing one game because he threw one pass for 52 yards in that at Army. Will
And
get you
that
the
leads
passing
the
lead
team
for one game. Like he was
Oh,
the leading passer for a
that
game.
game, not total.
So, just strange stuff. Not your normal Army team. They're typically a little better defensively than they are. But the one thing they're doing, like every Army team, they're 4th in the country in rushing yards.
Yeah.
So I think that's why they're favored by 7.5, despite being 1-3, is the fact that UAB struggles to stop the run, and Army is still running the ball well. I think it's going to be a pretty high offensive scoring game because of that. You're going to see a shootout. Jalen Kitna
Definitely
is
not.
UAB's quarterback, and he's pretty good. They pass the ball pretty well. What were you going to say?
I was gonna say not your traditional shootout. You don't typically imagine a shootout where one team is gonna have like 300 yards rushing,
Sure.
but that's probably where Army is gonna finish. I mean, they average 288 a game. They rush the ball 83% of the time. Like you said, traditional. I'm gonna. Can I go back and check right now? No, I can't. I would love to know last year what their rush rate was.
I have no clue.
I'm gonna go try and find it real quick.
The point total is 3 points higher than the State A&M game, and that's with 2 kind of viewed high-power offenses. UAB scores points. They've scored 24-plus in every game, including on the road at Navy and at Tennessee. And then, of course, in their 2 wins against Akron and Alabama State, they scored 24-plus. So they'll score, even against Tennessee on the road. But they already have kind of it's almost a common, it's going to be a common opponent, but it's almost like literally a common opponent in playing Navy already at Navy. They lost that game 38-24 on the road, which is a big difference. Of course, Protective Stadium is what they call it there in Birmingham. Should be an interesting crowd. I have no clue, to be honest. I've driven by it a few times, though. It's right off the highway.
From what I've seen, UAB fans are pretty unhappy with the program. They're very anti-Trent Dilfer still being there.
Sure.
So I'm not really sure how packed out the crowd's going to be, if it'll be anywhere close to that. It is crazy they had a stretch where they were actually pretty good as a group of 5 team.
This is
and it
the
fell apart, but
complete opposite of the game we were just talking about. Do you want to know where Army ranks in penalties?
first,
They commit 2 penalties a game.
it's Army. Like
Yeah.
that's what they do.
Yeah, they just push guys around and try
Discipline.
and run the ball.
Yeah.
Disciplined. I don't have UAB stats up there, but
I don't think UAB is probably that disciplined.
probably not. They ranked first in penalties a game, penalty yards a game.
Yeah.
But yeah, do we want to go ahead and pick this and then pick the Houston Texas Tech game as well?
Yeah, let's do it. I'm gonna pick UAB to cover. I don't have to pick it in terms of winner, but I probably would pick Army to win. But I'll take UAB to cover the 7.5.
It's down to 6.5. So do you
Okay.
still have that
I'll take Army to cover.
Yeah.
then.
to take Army to cover
Yeah.
6.5? I agree. I love betting 6.5 point favorites. And I'll take Army. Like I said, they have a literal common opponent in Navy already and lost that game by 14. So give me Army to run it up and down the field in Birmingham on Saturday morning, and to cover 6.5.
Yeah, I'll also take Army. JP, so you think if you looked at if you bet every 6.5 point favorite, would you come out above 50%?
No, I think you might be. That's an interesting theory. I would like to test that in the 2-hour drive we have to Jackson here in a second.
Cool.
That's an interesting theory. I need to test that.
Speaking of favorites,
It makes sense.
yeah.
Because there's just more results that pan out to you covering 6.5 than the other team covering 6.5.
Sure.
But I just think it's a great betting philosophy to bet 6.5 and not, take the 6.5 points.
Yeah.
But you still, I think, obviously have to look into the teams and have some knowledge as well.
Sure. Yeah, you can't do that blind.
Like if the spread was open 9.5 and it's been bet down to 6.5, maybe you want to stick away from that. You've already lost 3 points of value.
Yeah.
So this line has only moved 1 point. But
Sure.
I'm going to test that.
Yeah.
I need to test that.
Speaking of tests and models, I haven't been talking about my model. I have to start pulling out who would be projected to win in some of these games. Let's see who would be projected to win between Army and. You can go ahead and start previewing the Houston Texas Tech game. While I pull this up.
Did you make your pick, Sanders?
Oh, Army.
Cool. All right, and then real quick, for Cromie and Andrew McBride, really, we're going to pick the Texas Tech at Houston game. Can we get a spread for that game real quick, JP?
He's got up there as 10.5.
10.5. Okay.
Yeah, and I believe it's still at 10.5 as
Cool.
well. It was 11.5.
Texas Tech,
It's gone down.
Texas Tech favored by 10.5. They're going to play in the cage, as we figured out it's called or nicknamed.
Back up to 11.5.
Yesterday. Okay, 11.5. Both teams are undefeated. One feels a little more fluky than the other. Houston pulled out a win last Friday night by the skin of their teeth, blocking a field goal.
It was
Just
an
in it to
atrocious
overtime.
watch.
It was pretty bad football. They have Connor Weigman. Their offense has been I think the best word to sum up Houston, they've been okay. Like, nothing special, nothing really stands out, but they just have won all their games. And that's the opposite of Texas Tech, where they've flashed a lot. Their defensive line looks great. Their offense can make splashy plays all over the place. So thoughts on this game, JP?
So Morton's going to start. They were asked about potentially starting Will Hammond, but their head coach kind of referenced that Hammond is on a 2-year contract.
I saw that. That was crazy.
Meaning he told teams to stop tampering with his freshman quarterback, and for 2, meaning that they have a long-term plan for Hammond post Morton this year.
Which, real quick, can I just say, I don't like Texas Tech. I mean, they're an in-state rival of A&M. Rival maybe is a little liberal there, but still. But I do love how they just, they don't shy away from the fact that they spend money and that, this is how it is now.
Yeah.
In terms of, them posting hype videos and there's oil rigs in the hype video or their coach saying stuff like that. It's really weird, but I at least appreciate they're honest about it. But
Yeah,
you can continue.
It
now.
is a nice thing to see. I enjoyed his comment as well about Will Hammond. I think both quarterbacks are going to play, though. I think they'll use some packages with Hammond.
Sure.
They at least have shown on tape now that Hammond has the ability to throw the football down the field. And now when you bring in a quarterback in Will Hammond who's known to run the ball, well, you've seen him throw the ball down the field. Now you at least have to respect that. And it's different than with State, who if they bring in Kamario Taylor, we've only shown he's only thrown it 5 times this year. So we haven't shown that Kamario is trusted and capable of throwing the ball, even in key moments, so you can load the box on Kamario Taylor. For Will Hammond, I don't think that'll be the case. You may be more tend to load it because you think it'd be that more often than not, but you've at least seen him throw the football down the field, and so I would expect Texas Tech to use him to their advantage this Saturday night. They have a common opponent. They've both played Oregon State. Texas Tech won 45-14. That was after they got the ball to start the game. They're driving down the field, and there was a lightning strike in the area, and it was literally nearly a 3-hour weather delay at their game. 2 plays after the weather delay, they scored a touchdown on Oregon State. They blew them out of the water. Houston escaped. I mean, it was a brutal watch last Friday night. They escaped 27-24. Weigman did not play well. It was also it was brutal because Morton and I were not the quarterback for Texas Tech, but Morton Cromie. Were both hyping up Weigman, and then as soon as we got into the game, from whatever game was before it, I forgot what it was.
TCU
was-
Arizona State.
Yes. Weigman throws a pick immediately. So not a
That
good
was a
look.
fun
It was a
moment.
classic Weigman pick, too. And you'd obviously hope to not see that this weekend. I agree with you, Jack, though. Texas Tech has shown flashes both defensively and offensively. They've been talked about not only as a playoff contender, but by some people as a national championship contender. In the JP poll that was released on Tuesday, they are there's a 3.5 point gap between them and Utah, the next closest Big 12 team. So
Yeah,
there's
that's crazy.
a clear separation in the Big 12, it feels like. And from Vegas' perspective, it is obvious that there is. And for a conference that we thought was going to be really cannibalistic and could be anyone's league to win, you could really not get taken apart for picking the 8th favorite to win it, because hell, the second to last favorite won it last year. They've at least at this point shown the separation, and so I think this weekend is as big as any for them in showing that there is that separation, because Houston is one of the bottom schools in the Big 12, at least from a talent perspective, and they've shown that so far that they are, from a talent perspective, one of the worst teams in the Big 12. And so they need to go out into the cage and blow out Houston.
Sure.
And I don't think they will, though. I think it'll be a close one. I just think night game, this
Feels like a bit of a letdown spot,
it
honestly.
feels like a letdown spot. They had the bye week post Utah, so maybe you're a little rusty. How healthy really is Morton? They didn't announce him being the starter until yesterday.
Yeah.
And that's was kind of surprising. He got lit up in the Utah game and got forcibly removed essentially from that game as much as he wanted to play, but he just wasn't physically capable. I want to see from Texas Tech them blow out Houston, but I just don't think they will.
I think I'm right there with you. That being said, the spread is 11.5 now.
Yes.
I do think Texas Tech will cover, but it'll still be something where you check the score at halftime, and Texas Tech's only up 3 or they're only up 7, but they're just the much more talented team. So I do think eventually that prevails and they pull away enough to cover. But I don't think it's going to just be a snot pounding in the cage. So
Yeah, I just finished getting I don't have points. I'm not there yet as far as the model goes. I can only predict winners right now, which in this game is not too difficult.
no, it's not.
It does predict Texas Tech to win.
Sure.
As far as the spread goes, are we already picking spread? Sorry.
Yeah, I just picked it.
I will be picking Houston to cover.
Okay.
Do I pick him to win? Because I kind of upset, big upset opportunity. Connor Weigman goes and has his Heisman moment.
If you want to be wrong.
It's also, I will say that it's pretty house money to pick a win because
We don't lose
a
anything,
point if you
yeah.
predict the win.
Yeah, I'm
so
gonna
you
pick-
might as well just call
Then
it
I can
a shot.
clip it and be like, oh, I'm right.
Yeah.
Houston to win. I'll pick it.
Okay. I will let you know when Houston loses then.
Yeah, you can just call me out. It's
It'll
fine.
be the same time as our game, so you could be scoreboard watching Saturday night.
True.
They kick off 30 minutes prior to us.
All right.
Yeah, I'm taking Texas Tech to cover, as already that was put on there as well. I think they'll backdoor cover, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
They'll be
Late touchdown.
Down
Seven-
17,
they'll be-
and then they'll score a touchdown.
no, it'll be a 7-point game.
Texas Tech's going to backdoor.
Tech
Oh,
gonna
cover.
Texas Tech.
It'll be a
okay.
7-point game in the fourth quarter, then Texas Tech goes on a drive and seals it.
Okay, cool.
Wins by 14 in the cage.
That is
Yeah.
a fire name.
Well, it's a lot better than, I don't remember what it is now, but I was looking up their stadium name last night, and it's like TDECU Stadium or something like that.
Yes.
So they've decided to nickname it the Cage, which is a lot cooler
Tedeku?
than saying TDECU Stadium.
Tedeku would be, I guess, a pronunciation of it.
Tedeku Stadium.
Tedeku Stadium's kind of fire.
My guess is it's some corporation that
Yeah.
has bought the naming rights. So the Cage is a lot better than that for sure. All right, though. We can get into our next preview.
All right, this is where things get interesting. So we got 3 more games.
Yeah.
Vandy at Alabama, Miami at Florida State, UVA at Louisville. what order do y'all want to go in, like order of kickoff?
I don't really care, to be honest.
How do you want to approach this, JP?
Well, two of them kick at the same time.
Yeah. So do we want to save the 6:30 kickoff for last, or
Let's just go to Vandy,
all right?
Bama.
All right. Well, we'll go down to Bryant-Denny Stadium then. And this is somehow a revenge game for Alabama as they host Vanderbilt. They're 10.5-point favorites right now. Can Diego Pavia do it again? They won in a stunner at Vandy last year. And once again, it's like kind of same scenario. Alabama's coming off the Georgia win. But it doesn't really feel like it could be a look-ahead spot this year because of what happened last year. Like, it just doesn't at all have the same vibes around it. Diego Pavia is basically saying that if we play our game, it won't be close, stuff like that. The spread completely disagrees with that. But initial thoughts on this game, either of y'all?
I mean, Vandy has a chance,
Sure.
which is it's crazy to say that now in Tuscaloosa when there was no one thought they had a chance last year, but they're playing really well. They're first in the country in points per game right now with 50. Diego Pavia, we talked about this in the South Carolina preview, but right now, like, he's got luck on his side. He's doing a lot of crazy stuff that shouldn't work, but it is working. A lot of highlight plays, the backwards lateral, like, overhand, just throws it, swings it to a guy, which I loved. Sam Monson talks all the time about how, like, NFL teams should, like, try to use more rugby style stuff because it could work potentially, and that was a great case of it working, of just swinging the ball out wide and there's no one out there to set the edge. But Diego Pavia is playing really well. Ty Simpson, a guy that I was willing to, like, jump on as being awful after that Florida State game, has bounced back and is having a really great season. He's moved up in the Heisman voting, I believe, to top 3 maybe. He's getting up there. 87.9 PFF grade, so he's playing really well. But I do think I'm interested to see how does Vandy play in Tuscaloosa. How, like, do they still have the chip on their shoulder, or can they not kind of keep that up now that they're ranked and people know that they're good? Can they still play with that same fire? I expect them to be able to. I also expect it to matter, but can they get in Alabama's heads, right? Because that's kind of what we've seen from Alabama is they run into bad matchups and they don't look like Alabama for a game. That happened to them last year against Vandy. It happened to them against Oklahoma. It happened against Florida State. The defense had no fire. The defense had no motor. They just looked beat from the get-go. And so can Vandy get in their heads after beating them last year? Can they force turnovers? Right now, Alabama they've had 0 turnovers through 4 games.
Good stuff, Alabama.
Which is it's kind of crazy that you can lose that Florida State game without a turnover and then bounce back and go 3 more games after that, playing Georgia along the way, not record a turnover. That's huge for Alabama. So can Vanderbilt kind of counter that and force a turnover? Can Alabama stop the rush? Right now, Vanderbilt's got a lot of big plays, so they're averaging 6.7 yards per carry, which is 3rd, and 9.3 yards per pass, which is 11th in the country. So a lot of big plays, big chunk plays. That'll be big. Y'all's thoughts?
Yeah. Vandy's definitely going to try and play with that same fire they always do, and get in Alabama's head. But I don't think that's going to happen. Based on what I've seen from Ty Simpson kind of becoming the leader of this team post the Week 1 debacle that was a loss to Florida State, I think this team has regrouped really well. They've gathered around Ty Simpson. They've gathered around Kalen DeBoer. They're ready to play. They have a chip on their shoulder as well because you can't take more of an embarrassing loss than they did at Vandy last year. Obviously, Vandy ended up being better than we thought, but they were the laughingstock of college football for weeks there. And that just stings. They still play pretty well at home under Kalen DeBoer. So I think it's going to be a thing of Vandy may not have that edge that they do in terms of chip on their shoulder in most games because Alabama's right there. And the other thing I want to look at is Vandy's stats are fantastic, but this is easily the best team they've played. The best game prior to this for Vandy is South Carolina, and they played a large part of the game without Lenore Sellers, which I do think Vandy still would have won, but the game got away from South Carolina post the Lenore Sellers injury for sure. So I'm interested to see, like, can they keep up this offensive success against a better defense, a defense with more, they're faster, they're more athletic, they're bigger, stuff like that. They have run the ball very well. and they have stopped the run very well. So that's kind of the key to the game again, is just control the ground, win the line of scrimmage a lot like last year. I just don't know if they're going to have success like that against this Alabama team. And then finally, you got to get after Ty Simpson because he's just been dynamite from a clean pocket. And if you just let him stand back there, he's going to find Jeremy Bernard. He's going to find Ryan Williams. He's going to find Lotsier Brooks. So you have to find a way to pressure him and get him off his spot, or it's going to be a long night from that standpoint. But that's kind of my main stuff.
DeBoer is 10-0 at home.
Yeah.
Versus he's 4 losses on the road. I think it might be 3-4 on the road. If I'm not mistaken, the win at Wisconsin last year. Yeah, 3-4 at the road, the win at LSU, and then, they win at home.
Yeah.
But they don't necessarily play great at home, I'd argue, under DeBoer. Last year, the South Florida game at home was close into the fourth quarter, and then they ran up the score in the fourth quarter and won that 42-16. The Georgia game, they were blowing out Georgia, allowed Georgia into the game, and it becomes just a 7-point victory. The week after the Vandy game, they play South Carolina at home, and South Carolina is missing a 2-point conversion from winning that game, and they win by 2, 27-25. So, and even in the Iron Bowl, they didn't necessarily blow out a terrible Auburn team. They only won by 14 in the Iron Bowl last year in Tuscaloosa. So, I think Vandy covers very easily in this game. I think this is a dogfight to the fourth quarter. Last week, Bama showed a ton of just great stuff offensively in the first half, being able to run the ball, long, extended drives. I mean, their first 2 drives of the game were marathons. I forgot. That might have been the word that Chris Fowler used after the first touchdown drive, that it was literally a marathon because it took them, I think it was 14-plus plays that entire drive to get down the field against Georgia. It's also kind of been how they've scored a lot of their touchdown drives this year. The Florida State game, that's how they opened the Florida State game. They've been great at their opening script, at getting down the field and scoring touchdowns. And they did that last week against Georgia. But in the second half, they were slowed down offensively. The pass rush was starting to get to them. They couldn't get necessarily what they wanted on the ground. You had players dropping key passes. Not everything was there. For Vandy, their key is, can they stop Alabama on that first drive, and especially in that first half? And if they can do that, it's a dogfight the whole way home. And that's quoting Tom Cruise from Top Gun Maverick. I think it'll literally be like that. I think it's going to be a dogfight in Tuscaloosa on Saturday. I think Diego's a gamer. I think that's a huge part of why you kind of feel like they have to have a chance in this game, because who has beaten Bama? At least it's Nick Saban's Bama. Who would beat them all the time? A gamer. Just a freaking dog at quarterback. Johnny Manziel, Joe Burrow. You need one of those kind of performances to win a game. To win a game in Tuscaloosa, you need that kind of performance. Cam Newton. You need something like that. Now, is Diego Pavia Cam Newton, Joe Burrow, or Johnny Manziel?
No.
Hell no.
Johnny Manziel will be on the field, though. So
He will be on the sideline.
But Johnny Manziel is in Diego Pavia's corner, and I think Pavia may put up a kind of performance like that on Saturday. I don't think he's going to be scared of Alabama's defense. The biggest thing for him is avoid turning the ball over as much as possible. Sure. But I think that's just going to be more of a luck thing for him, because if they're going to win this game, he's got to play aggressively.
You have to take chances.
You got to take chances to do that. And so I think you just pray to the heavens the night before. Dear Lord, please don't let me throw a pick when I throw it into triple coverage tomorrow night.
Yeah.
You need that kind of thing for that to happen for Vanderbilt. I think Bama wins, but I think Vandy covers. I just think this is a dogfight the entire way. I think they've got the pieces. Vanderbilt, with the ability to run the ball. If they're able to run the ball against Bama, they're going to be able to control the time of possession, and it'll shorten the game, and it keeps them in the game. But watch the first drive. If they forced Bama to punt on that first drive, or even the 3 points, Vanderbilt's in this game immediately.
The way I see this going, I feel like there are 2 options. I think it's a close game. Diego Pavia balls and they win. And then the other option is we get the same opening drive they had at South Carolina where there's all this hype, and then Alabama comes out and, like, sacks Diego Pavia or tackles Cedric Alexander in the backfield. And you go, oh, shoot, we forgot that, like, this is Vanderbilt versus, like, we let the hype fool us. This is Vanderbilt versus Alabama.
There are levels to this.
Alabama has the second most talented roster in the country. They're playing in Tuscaloosa this year. Like, we kind of forgot. And I don't think that's going to happen. I mean, we'll get to that. I'll get to my pick later. But I could see a world where we get a Georgia TCU game where we're looking back saying, I don't think the score should have been this far apart, but Alabama just came out pissed, and they played like it. And there was no amount of cockiness from Diego Pavia that was going to save them in Alabama. I don't think that's likely, right? This isn't Nick Saban. This is a different Alabama, but I do think that's a real possibility. That'll be something I'll be interested to see, because I can just see it in my mind. Is it the edge rush? Is it LT Overton?
Yes.
Just comes out and immediately it's just like, this is why, like, we are not the same Alabama, but we're still pretty damn good. I don't think that's going to happen, but I'll be interested to see. Do we want to get into picks?
Yeah, JP already picked it.
Oh, I'll go and get into mine then. I don't see that happening. I'll be watching for it. I do think Diego Pavia is going to be able to ball. I'm going to pick Vandy to cover, and because there's nothing to lose, I'm going to pick him to win.
Yeah, so I think I align more with kind of your latter prediction, Sanders. I think Bama's going to come out pissed. I think, like I said, they've really rallied around Ty Simpson. He's become a vocal leader, and they go put on a show and remind Vanderbilt that there's levels to this, that you can be the fun underdog. And they are good. Like, Vandy's a quality team. But there's just, you can be a quality team and still not be able to match up to Bama. And so I think Bama covers this game. I don't think it's particularly close. But, yeah, give me Bama to cover the 10.5.
All right. I mean, you kind of had to say it. You picked them as your national champion. Like, you kind of have to back them.
I mean, as long as they win this game, you're still chugging along to that goal. You don't have to win it. You can win it by 1 point. I don't care.
I'm so glad this game is at 2. Because our game's the night game, right?
Yes.
I'm so glad. We'll get to, like, I guess, watch this. Will we be tailgating? No?
I don't know. We'll be watching.
We'll be watching on our phones. We'll be watching on our phones.
Yeah.
It's going to be electric. Yeah, cannot wait. Chromie picked Vandy to win, but Bama to cover. So
Good luck with that, Chromie.
yeah, I don't know how much money you have on that, but
you
if
just
you
found an alternate spread somewhere.
if
Yeah.
you would have rather just Venmo'd me that money instead of throwing it away, that would have been really cool.
He found Diego Pavia's bookie.
Do we want to move on to the next one?
Yeah, let's do it.
Do you want to do UVA? Well,
Oh, I will say one last thing
Do
on
it.
that. Vanderbilt money line is good value.
Okay.
Even 3 extra money.
are we
sure.
talking best bets or
No, I wouldn't put.
Best bets is not about value. Best bets is
That's
about
right.
being right.
That's
I
right.
feel
Correct.
like so.
Yeah, you're right.
There's good value on Vanderbilt money line. It's over 3 extra money.
Sure.
Cool.
Terrible value on Alabama money line.
What are we talking?
It's minus 425, which is just atrocious.
Yeah, that's really bad.
Given the Kalen DeBoer era.
So UVA at Louisville.
Yeah, let's do it. A week after knocking off Florida State at home, UVA goes on the road, and what is probably their toughest test left. They go to Louisville, where they're 6.5-point dogs, and it's a huge one. They win this one. They don't have a conference loss. They've got their 2 toughest tests out of the way. The world's in front of them in terms of making the ACC championship game. But this is a tough test. My key matchup is Louisville has the best pass rush in the country from a PFF grade standpoint.
That's cool.
Clev Lubin has 4 sacks. A.J. Green, Wesley Bailey, they have a lot of dogs on the edge. And UVA is going to need to keep Chandler Morris clean, or at least fairly clean, to have a chance in this game. Move the ball down the field, stuff like that. And if he's just getting hit all night, if he's getting flushed from the pocket, you're going to see a couple of those picks that he had in the Florida State game, for example. And actually another point I have real quick is Chandler Morris is probably going to throw a pick or 2.
Yeah.
He's just kind of that gunslinger mentality. Can you just somehow have them not happen in key moments? You know,
Yeah.
Can you not throw it on the game-winning drive against NC State to seal the loss? Can you, maybe throw it when there's 8 seconds left in the second half and you're throwing a Hail Mary and it just gets picked off and it doesn't matter? But those are kind of my couple keys. Y'all's thoughts on this game?
I think for me, who would have thought that at this point in the season we would have 2 ACC games to talk about on our slate,
Yeah, that is crazy.
and it doesn't include Clemson.
Clemson UNC.
Like this is
Sure.
It's crazy that we get to talk about a ranked Virginia and an undefeated Louisville at this point in the season. For me, I want to see how I just want to see Miller Moss finally play well. Last week was finally like a week where he actually put up a stat line that I kind of expected this year in a win at Pitt. He was 33 for 51 for 340, 3 touchdowns and a pick. Prior to that, he had only had 2 interceptions and 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions in the 3 games prior against Eastern Kentucky, JMU, and Bowling Green. So it's been a disappointing start to the season, and he finally put up a good stat line last week at Pitt. And I just want to see a building on that, because Miller Moss was a potential like dark horse Heisman favorite this year, and they really expected him to put together a really good season. They're 4-0, and everything's ahead of them, and they're 6.5-point favorites at home against Virginia. But I want to see that be built upon, because
Sure.
I mean, I don't. You might know more than me, Jack, but I don't feel like last week Virginia was not tested at all through the air by Tommy Castellanos. Really only tested in the throws to Deuce Robinson, and that was about it.
Which they did not perform very well.
Yeah,
in this.
and that's just one-on-one with an excellent receiver.
Sure.
That's really not going to go well. Miller Moss can throw it to a bunch of guys, and I want to see how that works. It's a drastic change in styles offensively, and that'll be an interesting thing to see. They do get the extra day of rest, but then you have it's a potential letdown game with how emotional of a win that was last week. And now you have to go on the road against one of the contenders in the ACC. So we'll get to see a lot of the competitive makeup of Virginia this weekend,
100% agree.
especially if they're able to keep this close into the fourth quarter. But I agree 100%. I think it comes down to the quarterbacks in this game. Chandler Morris and Miller Moss, whoever puts together the better performance, and then whoever doesn't turn over the ball, I think wins the game for these two schools.
Yeah. Anything here, Sanders?
Yeah, the Louisville defense is elite at forcing turnovers. They rank first in the country in interception rate. They intercept 7% of opponents' passes. I think I'm reading that stat right. It was a weird one, but that'll be something to keep your eye on. My big question, does Louisville storm the field if they win?
No.
I hope not, man.
I
really
hope not either. It would be really funny if we get
Maybe
the
in basketball they would storm the court.
Yeah. But yeah, that's all I got to say is watch out for the Louisville defense against a guy that, like you said, has thrown a lot of picks, ranks 88th in the country in interception rate offensively, so they throw a lot of interceptions.
And I think that's honestly the key for UVA is like the Chandler. You got to keep Chandler Morris clean, but the best way to keep Chandler Morris clean is let Jamari Taylor have success on the ground. Keep Chandler Morris out of third and long, obvious pass rushing situations, because they ran the ball pretty well against Florida State. Actually, they had about 200 yards on the ground, and he was great. Jamari Taylor was physical. He had that one touchdown run where he just, bowled over Earl Little. So that's really a great way to have success. And then in terms of helping Miller Moss play well, the Louisville offensive line has not been very good. So find some run success maybe there. It's not like UVA has a great defensive line. So this should potentially be while they've not been good, it's kind of like this is an easy test to handle in theory. But
Yeah. And then Louisville getting UVA off the field. UVA is fifth in the country in third down conversion rate, 57%. So keep an eye on that one as well. You want to pick it? JP, is it still 6.5, or do we have a update?
It's still 6.5.
Cool.
I picked and will pick Louisville to cover 6.5 because of it being 6.5. I think Miller Moss has a good day, and I love taking 6.5-point favorites. So give me Louisville to cover 6.5 and win, of course.
I'm going to ride with my boys. You talked a lot about what we'll see from the competitive makeup, and I trust Tony Elliott. I trust what they have there. They may not win, but they're going to go on the road and put up a great fight till the very end. Chandler Morris, if he throws 2 picks, he'll be right out there the next possession, running around, slinging it, finding Trell Harris, finding Cam Robinson. And so I think they'll keep it close. I think it'll be a high-scoring game. I think you'll probably find UVA in a high-scoring game every week, and probably Louisville, to be honest, at this point. But yeah, Give me Virginia to cover the 6.5.
I will also take. Well, I'll take Louisville to cover the 6.5. So that gives Jack UVA,
It's a valid point, Chromie.
and then me Louisville. Jack, did you pick Texas Tech or Houston?
I picked Texas Tech.
Texas Tech, and then I picked Houston, right?
Yes, you
Because I
did.
picked them to win, to cover and win.
Correct.
Cool. One game left, right?
Yeah, one game left. Well, until we get to the NFL games, so one
Yeah.
college game left, and that is a big clash in the state of Florida. Miami goes to Florida State. Florida State is looking to bounce back after a tough loss, but Miami is favored by 4.5 on the road. Initial thoughts on this game, guys?
Don't sleep on the Seminoles.
Okay.
This is, I just think Vegas has done a brilliant job and not overblowing this. This is something Vegas does really good on, but I don't like it. Actually, let me see if I can get the numbers on my offshore site. I would imagine 85% of the public is all over Miami minus 4.5 this week. Because what have they done this season? They have proven in pretty much every game that they are just outright dominant. They're better. They've beaten Notre Dame, beaten Florida, albeit in both close games at home. But where's Miami's strength? Rush defense. They're the sixth best, I think, from like an actual just like a statistic perspective. But they've also faced Notre Dame and faced Florida.
Yeah.
And they faced USF, like who is also a great running team as well. So that number can be kind of blown out a little bit. But they are kind of inarguably one of the best rush defenses in the country. What is Florida State's kind of only option offensively? Run the damn ball. And so that strength just kind of immediately swings towards Miami. But I wouldn't sleep on the cinnamon rolls. I think home field advantage plays a drastic role in this game. I think Doak Campbell Stadium, the newly renovated Doak Campbell Stadium, is going to play a big role in this game. It did in the Alabama game, I'd argue, and I think it will this Miami game. I think we've already quickly just like cleaned the slate on Carson Beck and Carson Beck in big games because we've seen him twice in prime time against Notre Dame and Florida, and he's played well. But are we sure that's not the Carson Beck from last year that doesn't necessarily play well in some of these big-time spots, especially on the road? I think the book is still out there. It's not written yet. And I think Florida State's going to be able to find a way to run the ball against this Miami team. And I love what Vegas has done with the spread. It opened at 6.5 and immediately got bet down to 4.5. And I just want to throw out there immediately before we even get deeper. This Florida State has a chance in this game more than people think.
Sure.
Because I would imagine, like I said, 85% of the public is all over Miami in this game.
Yeah, it is interesting. Like Florida State's biggest strength plays right into Miami's biggest strength. But I kind of trust Gus Malzahn to have enough wrinkles and the fact that Castellanos can run better than the some of the other quarterbacks Miami has played in terms of C.J. Carr, for example. They weren't necessarily he scampered some, but true freshman first start. You're not necessarily going out there.
Redshirt freshman, right?
Yeah, redshirt freshman. But first start, like you're not
Yeah.
going to send him out there, just letting him QB power, run all this stuff. So I think they'll find some success running, but I don't think they're going to find consistent success. Now, the reason I do think the game may be close is because I think the Miami offense may be a little overrated currently, and this could be a big prove me wrong spot. But it's like against Florida and against Notre Dame, they didn't necessarily come out and drop high points. It wasn't very consistent. I have liked what I've seen from Carson Beck and Tony and C.J. Daniels in that passing attack, but I don't necessarily know if I trust them enough and their consistency to really pull away from Florida State, if that makes sense. So I do feel like there's some, Miami's kind of unbeatable here. Oh, this is like going to be a blowout. And so I kind of agree, JP, that isn't necessarily, that's a bit of an overreaction. Your thoughts, Sanders?
Yeah, so just looking, Florida State ranks 4th in yards per rush and 8th in yards per pass and 48th in time of possession. So they're like a big play offense, right? They're 5th in points per game, so they're scoring a lot of points, but they're doing it really, really fast. Can they maintain that high pace consistently against this Miami defense with 2 elite edge rushers in Ruben Bain and then also Akeem Messidor? I wonder, like, I don't have his stats put up. I have his PFF grade. Akeem Messidor's got a 91.4 PFF grade. And he's, like, not even the guy. Like, Ruben Bain is the guy on that D-line. So how does that D-line look against Florida State? And then, also Miami's running game with Mark Fletcher could be really good. But I will be interested to see Miami dominates time of possession, almost 60%. What is it going to look like? Are we going to see Florida State minute and a half drive and then Miami turn around and have like a 6-minute drive? And then are we just going to see like 2 very different offensive styles dueling back and forth and we end up with like a big shootout, but a game where you're like, this is watching 2 very different styles of play on both sides of the offense?
Yeah, that's fair. And it's a good point, too, because I talked about I don't expect Florida State to be able to run the ball consistently, but they really have been an explosive offense. So as long as those don't get snuffed out, obviously you'd like to be consistent, but even if you don't find the consistency, you can just find those big plays, you have a chance.
Yeah.
I will say if they struggle to run the ball and Castellanos has to pass a ton, I think that's how this game gets ugly because I think he's going to turn the ball over a couple times.
Yeah, sure.
It's just not what they want him to do. It's not what he's comfortable with. They want to run the ball to set the pass and hit those explosive pass plays to Deuce Robinson. But if he just has to constantly sit back in 3rd and long, I think you're going to find trouble. Any other thoughts on this game? Or do you want to pick it?
Let's pick it.
Yeah, let's pick it.
Okay. JP, you've already picked it up there, I see, so I'll let you go first.
I think Florida State's got a good chance in this game, but it's really hard for me to take them. Just what we've seen with Miami through 4 games, they've just been the more complete team, and the fact that in my opinion, when you have a strength on strength, in this case you have Florida State's offensive ability to run the ball, and Miami's ability to stop the run. I think more often than not, the strength goes to the defense. And when you have, in Florida State's case, such a true weakness and ability to throw the ball to where they can't really throw any other punch than an overhand right, I just think it's going to lean towards Miami more often than not. So I'm going to take Miami to cover, but Florida State to win.
Okay. I'm also going to take Miami to cover. I do think it'll be decently close. But if there's a team I trust, which is weird because I actually really don't like Mario Cristobal as a late-game coach, but I just think the makeup of their team is something that I trust a lot more in the 4th quarter or down the stretch. So I'm going to take Miami to cover.
I'm going to pick another underdog. I'm going to pick Florida State to cover. And because it doesn't hurt, I'm going to pick them to win.
Okay.
So I've now picked 3 underdogs, Mississippi State, Vanderbilt, Houston, and Florida State. So 4 underdogs out of 6 picks to cover and win. So
this could be another bad week for Sanders and a big week for me and JP.
Yeah, it could be. But I'm sticking
You
with my guns.
nervous? The lead's creeping down.
No, not nervous because I don't
Went
have anything.
0-5 in our extra picks last
yeah,
week.
that was tough. I don't have anything to lose though.
Yeah,
so
should
I'm
we do
not
some
too
extra
worried.
picks? Sanders?
Yeah, I think we should.
I really don't think. Hold on, I'm gonna write down who the model would pick to win because, like I said,
Okay.
I don't have point spreads yet.
Did you want to reveal that for your other games?
No, I mean I'm not gonna go I'm gonna reveal it for all of them real quick.
Yeah,
But
go ahead.
So let's see, Mississippi State. Let's
Do you want to
see.
explain this model before you just tell us?
Probably a
yeah,
good
I'll
idea.
walk. So basically, it takes. Let me check. It doesn't have a whole. It doesn't take a whole lot. It takes 5.
It's a very young model.
Very young model. 5 data points into account. It takes margin of victory, your relative performance, offense versus defense, and defense versus offense. So it looks at like how many points above average are you scoring. So like if a defense allows 28 points a game, how much are you scoring above or below that. So it looks at like your relative performance, because I don't want to just know how many points you score or how many points you give up. I want to know if you held an elite offense. Whoa, Andrew! Andrew said he's selling on the model. The model correctly predicted the national champion last year.
I'm
They
also
did
selling.
correctly
The
pick.
model did make me some money on that.
The
I won't
model
lie.
picked Ohio State to win. I think it correctly
It picked
predicted
Ohio
the
State,
winner.
Notre Dame.
It predicted the winner of every game, I believe,
I don't know.
which
Okay, that's
wasn't
cool.
too hard because I think the favorite won in every game.
Yeah, I will sell on the model for now as well.
Um,
As it's not fully fleshed out yet.
No, it
It's very
certainly is
young.
not, but it's fun. It looks at talent. Talent's a big part of it, and then it looks at strength of resume, a metric that like a new strength of resume metric that I created. But let me walk through who would be projected to win. Texas A&M is 17th in the model. Mississippi State is 19th, so A&M would be favored.
Wait, A&M's ahead in the model now?
Yeah.
Because previously it had State winning that game.
No, that was the other. It was the model you showed me on the internet.
Oh, yeah,
That
my
model.
bad. That's right.
Let's see.
That was the model that had Alabama beating Georgia by 30. So
Yeah, that was crazy. That model was not correct, but it was. I mean, it predicted the winner correctly. Sorry, I'm having to add a new column. So it would pick Texas A&M to win. I'm just curious because I don't have. And then in this next game, it would pick Alabama to win. I have unfortunate news as a certified Alabama hater. Alabama is ranked first in this power ranking.
I'm buying the model actually.
Alabama
I've
is
changed my mind.
currently ranked first. They are. They're dominant in talent. Let me go look at where they show up. They are great in their performance against offense and defense. So if I go over to this tab, they hold opponents to 16 points under their average points per game, and they score 16 points over opponents' points allowed per game. So they're dominant in those metrics, and then they've got they're the second most talented roster in the country, so that helps them out a lot. Louisville, this is one that I can't just find off the top of my head, so I got to figure it out. I think it's probably going to favor Virginia, but I could be.
Go Cavs.
Actually, I don't know. We about to find something interesting maybe. Louisville is top 25. Louisville
Wow.
sits at 23. I don't know where Virginia is. Did I spell it wrong? No, I just deleted the formula that goes there. That's the problem. Virginia's 31st. So Louisville would be predicted
Okay.
picked to win. And then I'm not even going to look at I can tell you Texas Tech is favored to beat Houston. Texas Tech ranks 8th in the model. Houston ranks still scrolling. We're in the 47th.
Shout out
Houston
Houston, top
ranks
50.
47th in the model. So Texas Tech picked to win. Miami at Florida State. I also know the winner of this. Miami is 4th. Florida State is 10th. So it would pick Miami to win. And then Army at UAB. I think it picks. Oh, I just did the thing again. Stop.
This is a big one for the model. Army, UAB.
I really should have put all these up beforehand, but I didn't know I was going to be doing.
Chromie
all
wants
at
to let you
once.
know he's now sold all shares of the model because Houston is not top 10.
I hate to hear that. UAB is ranked 108th. Army is ranked 118th.
Okay.
So it would pick UAB to win this game, which I don't particularly love to hear. But there you have it. The model has
Model's
Texas A&M
spoken.
beating State, Alabama beating Vanderbilt, Louisville beating Virginia, Texas Tech beating Houston, Miami. So it picks, actually, except for the UAB game, it picked 5 favorites and then UAB to win in an upset.
Okay. Wow.
So we're looking to have a great weekend. It also disagreed with me in every one of my picks. So either I lose or the model loses,
Everyone
really-
is insane.
which is unfortunate.
Well, Because you pick spread. It wouldn't necessarily probably disagree with you an outright winner on every one.
That is true. And Andrew, it does not take home field because it's not doing points. It's just like who is the better team. So
Home field
I
would
think
also
the
factor.
only team where that might be relevant would be Miami, Florida.
Well, Miami and Texas Tech both are on the road.
Yeah.
All of the other winners are the home team.
Yeah.
So.
So
Cool.
yeah, I'll be doing updates of that weekly. I may start releasing the top 25 on Tuesday show. We'll see. It's fun. I've been working on this kind of behind the scenes since last season.
Yeah.
Just dabbling in math. All right.
We'll hope the credibility of it gets up, and then you have more reason to push it.
What credit? I picked the national champion.
1 year, even the blind squirrel finds a nut every once
Well,
in a
I
while.
did go back and test it against previous years, and I think it had like 4 of the last 6, right?
It's not bad.
It missed on one of the Georgia years, and it missed on 2019 LSU actually.
That's a bad look for the model.
I
unfortunately.
will say this: if you go back and look, LSU kind of got hot, like in the playoffs. But like statistically, other teams had Clemson had a fantastic season statistically.
Yeah, I mean LSU just had to play like a crazy hard schedule, and they still won
Yeah.
every game. So, let's get to the NFL.
Yeah,
this
let's
is
do
a
it.
big. Let's start with our game because I want to get it out of the way.
All right.
The Commanders go to the Chargers. Both teams are fresh off of a loss. It was the Commanders' second of the season, the Chargers' first. And both teams are pretty beat up right now. The vibes aren't necessarily the highest around either of these teams. My key points for this game, as the Chargers are favored by 2.5. Chargers, you got to keep Herbert upright more. He's being pressured on about 50% of his dropbacks. And you just can't find offensive consistency if that's going to be the case. Keep building on the Omarion Hampton success. He's kind of improved week to week, was very good last week. That's one way to help out Justin Herbert and, the offensive line, just run the ball more. But then also the Washington secondary has given up a lot of explosive plays, so they're there to find. And the Chargers have been good on hitting on explosive passing plays especially. So even if you struggle to move the ball consistently because of the offensive line issues, hit the explosive plays when they're there. For the Commanders, the defense has to stop putting on capes, which is what the DC defensive coordinator said in his press conference today, basically saying guys are trying to do too much, and when you try and do too much, you end up out of position. You try to make the hero play, you're not playing gap sound, so that we got to fix that. Another key is I would just get Marshawn Lattimore off the field, besides that's not an option. I'm interested to see how Jaden Daniels looked. He's probably going to play. He may have to play with a leg brace on, so I'm just interested to see if he's really at 100%, how's his mobility and stuff like that. We got to protect him. He's a prized asset. With how well Mariota's played, I honestly just kind of wish we'd run Mariota out there for one more week. But I get it, I guess. And my last key point is run Bill Krosky-Merritt more. Not that the other guys have been bad, but if you just watch the games, Bill is just the best at maximizing what's there. Getting the extra yard or two. The vision is just better than the other two guys. I get maybe the pass pro is not as good as you'd like, but we getting 7 carries a game. I need that at least in the double digits, please. So those are kind of my key points. Sanders?
Yeah, I think a key point is turnovers. Justin Herbert has started throwing more turnovers, and threw I think 1 or 2 against New York, and then it's just been,
two against New York.
Yeah, it's been like unfortunate timed ones too, because if you look defensively, we're dominant. 3rd in yards per game, and 4th in points per game. But then if you look offensively, we're 8th in yards per game with 356 and 20th in points per game. And what that says to me is drive down the field, take up time, stack up yardage, turn it over. Or 4th down, like you've got a failed 4th down. That's like really, that kills drives, that kills momentum. So you got to eliminate that. You have to take care of Justin Herbert, just like Jack said. Missing Alt is tough, out for a couple weeks. But I think the best way to hide that loss is just run the ball. Omarion Hampton has been getting a lot more touches and has been looking really, really good. He's kind of looked like the guy you wanted to invest a first-round pick in after not looking like that through 3 weeks. Najee Harris looked like a much better running back out of that backfield. Through 3 weeks, goes down with the injury. In half a game, they really leaned on Hampton. He looked good. And then against the Giants, he looked great. That one rush that he had where he broke like 4 tackles and just would not stop running, incredible. I mean, that made me so happy as a Chargers fan. So I love seeing that. So give Hampton the ball, give him the opportunities. It's a home game. It's a chance to kind of try and get some momentum back. It's a game that you hope to win against a defense that hasn't looked great, ranking in the bottom half of the league in points per game and yards per game. So hopefully offensively you can take advantage of that. You can finish drives and get in the end zone. That's a big part. But yeah, like not wasting drives and getting to the red zone or getting into the side of the 50 and then stalling out, I think is a huge goal for the Chargers this week.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Definitely not turn the ball over because this is not a Commanders defense that has inspired any confidence this season. But they have forced a couple takeaways, and so that's honestly kind of the only way we're really getting stops right now. So don't just give us free ones, I guess. But thoughts on this game, JP?
Albeit they were Geno Smith takeaways.
True.
This is true.
A few of them at least. I think it's just a massive game for the Chargers. They just need to get right back on the footing that they were on. I don't think they have to dominate the Commanders, but the opportunity's there to dominate the Commanders. Clearly shown by 2 weeks ago when the Packers did it to the Commanders.
We should not be able to move the ball in this game, realistically.
And with how poorly the defense has been playing, as y'all said, I think offensively you should play well. There's no one on that pass rush that should scare you. So even if Joe Alt's not playing, obviously no Slater, you shouldn't be scared. Herbert should still have his time. But I think the biggest thing is, like Sanders said, run the ball, give it to Amarian, let him continue to build off the week he had last week, and then turn this offense into what it should be on paper. Run, play action pass. Run, 9-yard game, 2nd and 1, play action pass. That's how it should be set up a ton. And right now, through the first 4 weeks, it's been a ton of pass, run. Against the Chiefs, it was almost pass the entire game, it felt like. And it worked. But I just don't know if that's going to be successful long term because right now, at least, Herbert's turning the ball over. He's got 3 picks through the 4 games, and that 3 picks already matches what he had all of last season in the regular season. And if he's... I don't think it's a thing of, if you let him keep throwing picks, he'll now feel better once he gets to the playoffs and he won't be pressed. And then when he throws a pick, he will be less likely to throw a second. I just don't think that's the case for him. I think you got to get back to what you should be offensively, what Jim Harbaugh offenses have been offensively. And I hope that they do dominate because they need to. They very quickly are about to be potentially tied with the Chiefs with the same record. They would own the tiebreaker, which would be the only thing that separates them. And the Broncos could very quickly be 3-2 as well if they pick up a big win in Philly this weekend. So that all of a sudden 3-0 lead and that 3-0 start doesn't look great after the loss last week against New York. You got the pass for it, and like Sanders said, you can very quickly forget that if you win a big win against Washington. On the flip side, I don't think there's any pressure on Washington at this point in the season.
No, we have the passive. We're really injured.
Yeah.
Which I think is covering up for some other issues we have that even if we were healthy would still be there, especially with the defense. But we're going to go into this game, no Terry McLaurin most likely. So the Chargers defense that has been very good in pass coverage. And wide receiver 1 is Deebo Samuel, and Luke McCaffrey's getting meaningful snaps. Like, there shouldn't be anything the Chargers can't handle there. So
I am really surprised that they are starting Daniels. They must be confident. Like, Mariota's looked good. He has not been the problem.
yeah,
He's the highest graded quarterback in the NFL, according to PFF. And he's started 2 games now?
yeah,
Or come in?
2 games.
Started 2 games?
Mm-hmm. And that gives me hope that while I'm worried Jaden Daniels is not 100%, that he actually is.
Right. Because why would you throw out someone who's 70% when you've
correct.
got a guy who's cooking?
But we'll see. And it might also just be like Jaden Daniels been pretty pissed, honestly, that he's not played the past couple weeks. I think he's felt like he could, and the medical staff hasn't cleared him, which medical staff has now cleared him. And so I don't think they're going to hold him back any longer. So, because, I mean, if the medical staff has cleared him, I guess why would you? but it's not great vibes right now, to say the least, for the Commanders. And so, with that being said, I'm going to take the Chargers to cover the 2.5, and I feel pretty confident about that, to be honest. I just have seen nothing from this Commanders team the past couple weeks that inspires confidence, especially defensively, mainly defensively. So I'll take the Chargers to cover the 2.5.
Agreed, 100%. And I love betting 2.5-point favorites as well.
Sure.
Spread doesn't necessarily make a ton of sense to me.
I agree.
And now, especially that Terry McLaurin has been ruled out. He got ruled out 30 minutes ago.
Yeah.
I maybe expect that spread to jump up. So while it's still there at 2.5, I would like to get on it and give me Chargers -2.5.
Yeah, I'll also take the Chargers -2.5 and to win.
Nice, nice.
I'm sorry, Andrew, that Greg Roman is ruining your fantasy teams. I do get that, like, a lot of people drafted McConkey thinking he was going to be, like, really good. And then Keenan Allen comes back and is having a good year, and Quentin Johnson's having a breakout year. I personally love it, like, because I don't have McConkey.
My philosophy, or not my philosophy, my thoughts is pump the brakes, calm down, it's going to be okay.
Pendulum's going to swing back at some point.
Last year, fantasy owners were ecstatic when Ladd McConkey was averaging between 6 and 7 targets a game. Now fantasy owners are pissed when Ladd McConkey is averaging between 6 and 7 targets a game. He's getting the same amount of target share. He's just not getting the volume you want right now. But it's been 4 weeks, and that's not a large enough sample size to just get rid of him. He was just traded. Ladd McConkey was just traded for Marvin Harrison this weekend in my league. So we need to pump the brakes. That's a 25-pick difference in terms of ADP coming into the season.
Sure.
So pump the brakes. Ladd's going to be fine. Also, you got the added bonus of like Quentin Johnson isn't stealing his volume because Quentin Johnson isn't in the slot. He's
They're
been
different
a deep
crap,
threat.
yeah.
Keenan Allen's the one who's stealing his volume, and Keenan Allen hasn't had a healthy season really ever. So Keenan Allen's going to be out pretty soon, and so trust Ladd and pump the brakes there.
Just real quick, how many
agree.
targets was he getting again?
6 or 7.
Okay, cool.
Give
Just
or take.
just double checking.
All right. We're all on the Chargers there, so we can move on.
Tampa Bay.
Yeah, let's do that. The Buccaneers head up to Seattle, where the Seahawks are favored by 3.5. The Buccaneers lost last week, so they're looking to get right in Seattle, but the injury hits keep coming. Bucky Irving got hurt. I believe he's already confirmed out for this week.
Yeah.
Is basically doubtful.
Yeah.
He's not going to play. He's been in a boot and in crutches this week.
That's what I thought, but I'd seen no confirmed report that he was out. So no Bucky Irving, and they go up to Seattle, a team that's been playing well. Thoughts on this game, guys?
My favorite little tidbit that I found while like prepping for this game, and it's up there so y'all can both see it. I can't ask you, unfortunately. Points per game and opponent points per game. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers score 24.3, and they allow 24.3. They are averaging a tie through 4 weeks, which like that's just kind of what happens when you win 3 close games or 2 close games, right? Was it 3? 2 game-winning drives. I don't know. 3 game-winning drives, and then you lose. So you win those games by a combined like 4, 5, 6 points, something like that. 6 points, and then lose to the Eagles by 6 points. But that was a really funny tidbit that I found there. Yeah, I'll be interested to see offensively, Buccaneers, is Chris Godwin, does he take a step forward in his second week back from injury? The offense last week wasn't a huge problem. I mean, they put up 20-something points. They just found themselves in the situation that they'd been in through the first 3 weeks. Baker Mayfield has the ball in his hands to go try and win the game, and he can't get it done. I don't know the stats, but I feel like a quarterback who converts 75% of his game-winning drives in 2 minutes or less, I feel like that's pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't know
I would take
where the
those.
greats lie. I don't know if Tom Brady's in the 90% or something like that, but 75%, I would take that from my quarterback, I think. So it just didn't happen that week. Now you have to turn
It's
around.
not like he got all the way down the field and then threw a pick too. So he basically had completed it.
Yeah.
You just couldn't finish it.
Yeah.
So super close, an unfortunate loss, but now you turn around, you go to Seattle, who, like Jack said, has been playing really well. Jackson Smith and Jigba has been playing well. I've seen who was it? Someone was trying to trade for him. They were saying, oh, the Giants fans want to trade for JSN, and they were offering like a 3rd-round pick and Thibodeau. And I was like, I don't think Seahawks fans would want that. I think the Seahawks love Jackson Smith and Jigba. So he's been playing well in his kind of second year as a breakout year after breaking out last year. But the Tampa Bay defense, I still do like a lot. Vita Vea getting to Darnold after the impact he had last week could be a big part. But, yeah, I'm excited for this matchup. And then Baker, just continue to let Baker cook. And if you find yourself in a 2-minute drive situation again, I think you got to feel pretty confident with Baker back there.
Yeah, it's like a dichotomy of let Baker cook if you're the Bucks, and then for the Seahawks, it's like when you get after Baker and he starts scrambling around and tries to cook, that's when you got to take advantage of a couple errant throws. He's going to have a game where he's just trying to make something happen that's not really there, or when he tries to scramble, don't let him break contain, drag him down, stuff like that, because otherwise he really will kill you. And he's put the ball in harm's way this season, has gotten away with some stuff, which if you're a Buccaneers fan, you're totally fine with, because the upside of all that stuff has been enormous, and that's the reason you've won a couple of these games. But if you're the Seahawks, just capitalize on those interception opportunities, on when he's trying to run, get a clean hit on him, stuff like that. Just make him pay. And then for the Buccaneers defense, it's a stop the run thing, in my opinion. The Seahawks have really feasted on play action. So if you can kind of slow up the run and you don't have to have the safeties creep up to help, you're just in a lot better shape to cover the play action to JSN or to Torrey Horton, Cooper Kupp, stuff like that. So that's kind of really what I'm looking at for this game.
Yeah, the Bucks have held 12 straight opponents to under 100 rushing yards.
Wow.
And that is 100% what Seattle's going to try to do with K9 and Zach Charbonnet, is run the ball to set up the play-action pass with Sam Darnold. And they love running 12 personnel. They'll run 13 personnel a ton. They won't run it as much as like the Jets have, where they'll bring out an extra offensive tackle. But they love putting A.J. Barner and Elijah Arroyo on the field and using them as vertical threats, but as well as just 6'5" blocking threats for K9 and Zach Charbonnet. I think that kind of tells the story of the game. If Seattle is able to run the ball well against Tampa Bay and against Vita Vea and Levante David, then Sam Darnold's going to, I think, get what he wants through the air, and I think they'll be able to control the game that way, I should say. And then I think other key to the game is which Ohio State boy plays better, and Emeka Egbuka and JSN. JSN was kind of quiet in the first half last week, but cooked in the second half.
Yeah.
And Egbuka has been outstanding all year long. In fact, they are tied for the NFL lead with 5 receptions of 25 yards or more this year. So they've been terrific down the field. Egbuka had the game winner week 1 against Atlanta. I really think they're a huge part of this game. How do they play? Injuries play a factor as well. Obviously, Mike Evans won't play. Bucky Irving is more than likely not going to play. So do we get a Sean Tucker legacy game to go along with Rashad White?
I would love that.
Wait, why is Rashad? Wait, Rashad White is playing though.
He is
Okay,
playing,
cool.
but
the duo of them, they're just. I picked up Sean Tucker
Yeah.
last year and dropped 34 on JP, so
Yes.
it's kind of a good bit. But I feel pretty confident in that duo, to be honest. I mean, obviously,
Yeah.
you'd like to have Bucky Irving, but they're both competent guys. I think they can still find success on the ground with that duo.
Rashad White is just Bucky Irving wearing a 1 instead of a 7.
Sure.
Just a little bit less talented. But I think that'll be a fine grouping. DeMarcus Lawrence is more than likely. I would expect him not to play.
Okay.
He got hurt his quad last week, and he's been one of their best pass rushers for Seattle. Now they have 10 million of them that they can go to, so I don't think they'll be hindered there. And
Yeah, sure.
Against the Buccaneers' offensive line, Wirfs played last week, played well. That could play a factor. Baker getting pass rushed. Tampa Bay having to fly across the country. That's, if I'm not mistaken, that's the longest flight possible in the NFL from No, it's Miami to Seattle. Actually, would be the longest flight possible. But Tampa Bay,
It's right there. but
it's
yeah.
literally right there. Tampa Bay to Seattle. That's probably a 5-hour flight, give or take. That may play a factor. This kick it'll be at 3 Central, so 4 o'clock body clock. So that doesn't play a factor like the Chargers Giants did last week. But it's a long flight up there to Seattle. Weather may play a factor. We're now in October. This will be the coldest game of the weekend with a high temperature of 62 degrees, which is still plenty fine for football weather. And there's no expected Seattle rain. But again, this is Tampa Bay. They're used to playing in 80, 90 degrees. It may help them this weekend. We'll see.
Sure.
But if this was in Tampa Bay, I think it might be a completely different story. Seattle might struggle with the heat.
And I do think that if it does rain, that gives that plays to Seattle just because Tampa Bay has been so explosive through the air.
Yes.
That really, it doesn't completely take out Emeka Ibuka, but it really helps to neutralize him. It makes your job a lot easier.
Sure.
Cuts are harder, hands are slipperier.
It's so much harder to throw the ball in the
yeah,
rain.
exactly. You may end up dropping a Baker Mayfield misthrown ball, but we don't have, I mean, if it's not going to rain, this is all a moot point. But weather is always something to monitor when you have like a really high-powered offense through the air, like the Bucks have.
It's one of the games of the weekend. I love both of these teams. Tampa Bay was on tier 2 and Seattle was on tier 3. And you got to love Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield. It's a beautiful story.
Both
Their
on the same
careers,
team. They were
it's-
teammates.
They were both first-round picks to the, poverty franchises in Cleveland and New York. Baker found success, and then they just got rid of him for no reason. And he ends up in Carolina. Sam Darnold saw Ghost in New York. He ends up in Carolina. They both kind of sit as backups in L.A., San Francisco. It's just they'll tell that story a ton, I'm sure, on the broadcast this weekend. But
Opening graphic before the game kicks off.
Absolutely.
It'll be a picture of them in Carolina or something like that.
Baker was asked about it earlier this week, and the reporter described it as the good old days. And Baker was like really surprised by that description. He said says he didn't really remember those days much at all.
Those were
'cause
probably not the good old days for
Yeah,
him.
no,
He's
not
in the
at all.
good old days right now.
But it's one of those games that it's why I love the NFL, because you can have those kind of stories that have spanned across these players' careers.
Sure.
And that'll make this a really cool game. In terms of the game itself, I just like Seattle in this matchup. I think without Baker, not having Mike Evans and not having Bucky Irving will play a factor against what I think is one of the best defenses in the league in Seattle, and they're at home. They got the extra rest as well, playing on Thursday night. I just think everything lines towards Seattle. So I'm going to take Seattle to win. And the spread's 3.5, which normally I would take the team that's getting 3.5 points. But I'm going to take Seattle to cover the 3.5 as well.
I think I'm right there with you. I will say Seattle has a propensity for kind of ugly games, wacky games. But I trust their defense to kind of be the team that does capitalize on some Baker mistakes. And while I do think Tampa Bay will be able to slow down Seattle's offense, I think Seattle will get the job done and cover the 3.5. So I agree.
Yeah, I was trying to find, because Baker and Sam were drafted in the same year, 2018. I was trying to see, like, head-to-head how they matched up. And AI says they have matched up 3 times with each quarterback winning 1 game. And I was like, what? So I don't know what the head-to-head record is, but it is okay. It is 1-1. So I don't know why AI says they've played each other 3 times, but they're 1-1 against each other. And then you also like JSN and Emeka Egbuka. Did you like talk about like they played together at Ohio State, right? They were drafted 2 years apart. JSN, this is his 3rd year in the league, so
I'm pretty sure they
mean,
probably had to have
Egbuka
been.
was there for
Yeah.
8 million years.
Same with
so.
JSN.
So they both, former teammates at Ohio State. There's just a lot of good storylines here and 2 really fun teams that aren't like they're just different. It's like it's fresh. It's you get something fresh in the NFL after like the Eagles have been dominant, the Chiefs have been dominant. So this is really exciting. I'm gonna pick the Bucks to cover.
Good. I just
yeah.
want some variety.
I agree. I mean, this is now. I mean, it's been bad. Our NFL picks have been the exact same, or very similar through 4 weeks. So a little variety is good. I'll pick the Bucks to cover. If it's close and Baker Mayfield gets the ball, I feel really good about him going down and getting the win. So we'll see how that goes. Maybe we get a Sam Darnold spook game. That's always a possibility. Sam Darnold did it
It's too
twice.
early.
Did it twice last season.
We got to wait till the turn of the year, or at least December.
Yeah.
I think it's
I
got to be
mean-
2026 before that happens.
You think he's already got his 2025 spook games out in the
Yeah.
in the playoffs?
I think so.
Well, I'll be picking Tampa Bay to cover. Moving on to the last one.
Yeah, let's get to the last one. Yet again, we're talking about the Chiefs. The Kansas City Chiefs go and visit Jacksonville this weekend, where they are 3.5-point favorites on the road. Jacksonville is 3-1 at this point. Kansas City picked up a big win at home last week against the Ravens. And what I'm looking for, this feels like yet again another prove-it game for both these teams. Was the Chiefs, once again, not only have we talked with them a ton, but it seems like they end up in these games. They performed well offensively last week, but the Ravens' defense has been terrible, and Jacksonville's defense has actually been pretty good. So it's like, can you build off that performance and show that that wasn't necessarily fluky, and because you're playing a bad defense that was really beat up, can you show that like you've actually made strides offensively and that Xavier Worthy being back matters, and then that when you get Rashid Rice back, like, oh, look out, this is going to be a dangerous offense. And then for the Jaguars, this is a chance to make a statement of, like, we beat the Chiefs at home. We are for real. We're a legit contender, at least to make the playoffs. So that's kind of what I'm looking at. But thoughts on this game, guys?
One of the biggest storylines coming to the game. So Jacksonville leads the league in takeaways with 13 this year. They had only 9 all of last season. Now they've gotten the benefit of playing Brock Purdy last week. But they've gotten a ton of turnovers. Devin Lloyd has 3 picks. This is coming from NFL Pro. This is the 8th time in Patrick Mahomes' career that he'll face the team leading the NFL's in takeaways entering the week. Mahomes is 5-2 in the previous 7 games, with 2+ passing touchdowns in every game, and he's only averaged 1 giveaway in those prior 7 games, so 7 turnovers in those 7 games. That kind of tells the story of the game. For me, expect Kansas City to play a very Kansas City game. I felt like they've gotten back to that the past 2 weeks versus how they played in the first 2 weeks, where it felt like they were pressing. Clearly something was going on. The mojo didn't feel right. In the Eagles game, you're going for it on 4th and 1 on the first drive of the second half in your own field or your own territory. It didn't make any sense. And then these last 2 weeks, they have done what they have been so excellent at doing, is taking advantage of what they're supposed to take advantage of. The end of the first half against the Giants, Russell Wilson throws a pick. When they're in field goal territory, Chiefs get it, drive down, get a field goal. That's what good teams do. 6-point swing before the half. And then last week against the Ravens, they're trailing early, but they force Lamar into a weird throw. They get a pick, and they just kind of go running from there. And I just think they're back to doing that, and I expect them to play that way. For Jacksonville, offensively, it's not been the story of their season whatsoever. It's been their defense that's won them these games. It won them the Texans game. It won the game last week for them. Against the 49ers, they were +3 in the turnover margin, and still that was a really close game down the stretch. They've got to get something going. Trevor Lawrence, Brian Thomas has to get something going. The Travis Hunter experiment has quietly not been good.
Not been good is a nice way to put it. This is an overreaction, but like just looking at the snaps he's played, we're approaching kind of disaster territory for the experiment early on, and considering what they gave up for him in the draft.
Yeah, so last week, week 1, week 2, week 3, he had increased how many snaps he had played every week. Last week, he played the lowest amount of snaps he's played this entire season, just 35%. He played essentially half of the offensive snaps, only 9 snaps on defense. Hunter was targeted 5 times, catching 3 for 42 yards. And on defense, he was targeted only once and allowed a 7-yard reception. So Travis Hunter has not been playing to that level. Prime time, though, and he is a kind of a disciple of primetime and Deion Sanders. I am curious to see if that will be something they try to use.
Yeah.
This weekend with Liam Cohen, or not? I shouldn't say this weekend. This Monday with Liam Cohen. They need to do that in front of their crowd. That's been a big thing for Jacksonville since the COVID year. It's been trying to get that stadium full of Jaguars fans, get a consistent fan base, consistent season ticket holders. And to do that, you have to be competitive and win these kinds of games. And they haven't been great at doing that in the past. They'll get a brilliant opportunity on Monday, and they need to take advantage of that. I think they know that, and ownership knows that. That's why you go out there, and that's why they drafted Travis Hunter.
Yeah.
Was to try to get butts in the seats to see Travis Hunter. Now you got to use him, and I think that's a huge part of this game this weekend. Is can they get Brian Thomas and Travis Hunter the ball? And if they can continue to find success running the ball, I think they've got a chance. I think that's why the spread is only 3.5 and why it's so close.
Sure.
And opened at 2.5. Travis Etienne's been great. He's averaging 6.1 yards per carry, and he's second in the NFL in rushing yards with 394. So he's been great after a bad season last year. And if they can continue to build on that, I think they've got a chance. And I would love to see it, too, because I'm a big Trevor guy, big Clemson guy.
Of course.
And I obviously hate the Chiefs. So I would love to see some great showing from Jacksonville on Monday, because if they don't, it's such a wasted opportunity. They don't get primetime games really ever. They get one a year. They need to take advantage of it.
Yeah, I agree. Any thoughts, Sanders, before I kind of go in my final spiel?
I mean, no. Sorry. I had thoughts about, like, Travis Hunter, but I don't know if we want to have a whole Travis Hunter discussion. Because, like, you said 3 receptions or on 5 targets for 43 yards.
Yeah.
That's not that's not a terrible stat line. And I don't know did you say how many snaps he played?
Played
on offense?
half, 36 snaps
So, like,
of 63.
yeah.
Wait, I thought he played half offensively. How many do you play defensively? Do you play half
Defensively,
defensively?
only played 9
Yeah.
snaps.
So do you think that they're going to consider transitioning him to just offensively? Because 3 receptions on 5 targets on 36 snaps. If you double the snaps, now you're talking 6 receptions, 10 targets, 80-something yards,
I
potentially.
don't know.
That's not a bad stat line.
They've been experimenting, because in the Texans game 2 weeks ago, he played more defensive snaps than he played offensive. He played 41 defensive, 35 offensive. And so I don't know. He's played more offensive this year than he has defensive, 116 to 86. I think they're just experimenting right now. It's still trying to figure out where to use him, which is concerning for me right now. Because like, why would you invest a first-round pick and so much draft capital into him if you didn't already have some kind of plan for it yet? And it just doesn't make any sense right now. I just kind of wish they had just unleashed him and let him play as much as he wants on both sides. I think he's more than capable at doing that. And if you put him in the right matchups, like in the Bengals game, he wasn't great defensively, but he was matched up against Jamar Chase.
Yeah.
Like no great corner is going to be a rookie corner is going to be great against Jamar Chase, without cheating for the most part, which is just holding him and hoping to get away with it. So I don't know. It's been concerning, and that's why I said it's not been good. And like Jack said, that's kind of understating it. So far, this experiment has not worked, and it's been disappointing.
Yeah, I think they really should just, I agree, like, let them run with it and just see what you have. Because I think it's hard to know what you have and, like, what you're going to get from him if you just kind of, like, pick and choose and keep tweaking it. You kind of almost have to let him go out and play ball a little bit to figure out if he can hold up. So, I don't know.
Yeah, it was at San Francisco. That's the most receiving yards he's had in a game with 42. Other weeks he's had lower 20s, 33 yards. Defensively, he's grading well, which the thing you said, JP, about him only being targeted once for 7 yards.
Yeah,
that's
played 9 snaps.
Yeah. That is the weird thing about that is bad. But the weird thing about defense is, like, low numbers like that are good.
Yeah.
Like that he targeted a low number of times. Like, that's what you want, because it means your guy is in theory covered. But 9 snaps is not great. Let me see how many completions he gave up. in these other games. He gave up 1 reception in week 2 and then 4 receptions on 4 targets in week 3. So he's
He
only
had
he's
2
been,
bad PIs in the Bengals game.
Okay.
Yeah.
Especially the one that allowed Jake
Yeah.
Browning to drive
Yeah.
down the field and hit the game-winning drive.
been his only 2 penalties on the season.
Yeah.
But he's allowed 6 receptions on 7 targets and he's played 101 snaps, 74 of them in pass coverage. So he's still like it is a weird thing of like they probably maybe when they drafted him they were like we don't know exactly how we're going to use him, but he's too talented.
That's just
And
so
the
idiotic
high-
of them, though.
To trade a first-round pick.
I agree. I didn't like them trading for him. I thought the Browns won that trade after the trade.
Especially with the way Mason Graham's playing right now. They got to be
Yeah.
clapping their hands.
I thought that
In
the
Cleveland.
approach the Browns took in adding that extra first round pick and still going and getting one of the 3 blue chip guys in that draft, because it was Graham, Hunter, Ward, and then was there another?
Well, Abdul Carter.
Abdul Carter.
Abdul
Thank
Carter.
you. That he was the 4th. So there were 4 blue chip guys.
I'd
Graham
say
was
th-
like the
but
last.
I'd say the 3 blue chip were Hunter, Carter, and
Ward.
Graham.
Graham.
Ward is just like the best QB.
Okay,
I don't
yeah.
know if he was really a blue. Like
That's
you know,
fair.
That's highly graded.
So just the execution, the approach the Browns took, getting that extra pick, getting Mason Graham, a position that you needed help at. I think that I loved that trade when it happened. I thought they won it, and now it's kind of hindsight is making it feel more and more like that. But I also think it's way too early to start ringing alarm bells because Travis Hunter isn't playing awful. He's just not playing a lot.
Yeah, I don't want to ring the alarm bells
Yeah.
for 4 weeks, but if I think this is a perfect opportunity to use him on national television against the damn Chiefs.
Yeah.
Like, I think you need to send him out there, play him a ton of snaps. And I don't care if he gets burned, even on defensively, or he drops a key pass. He needs to be in these bright moments because, one, for your fan base, like you need to build that, and 2, he's built for him. He's a Heisman Trophy winner. Like, this guy isn't a schmooze. He's not terrible. He let him play, and one of the things Greg Olson always says, and one of his big phrases is, when you get into big moments, think players, not plays. Travis Hunter is a player. Let him get the ball and make something happen. You don't just draw up your best play. You
Yeah.
draw up your play to get the ball to your best player. And he is someone I think they just need to use more in that capacity. And I hope that they do it on Monday night, because if it's like he was last week, where he was kind of underwhelming for the most part and plays his lowest snap share, that's concerning
I agree.
for the 2nd overall pick in the draft.
100%.
Where did Liam Cohen come from?
Offensive coordinator for
Tampa
the
Bay.
Buccaneers.
Okay.
Which is why I was hoping I would have seen more from this passing attack up to this point in the season.
Who I saw some stat, and I'm trying to remember who's do you know who the receiving coordinator there? I know that's a crazy.
I do not know who the receiving coordinator is.
I saw a stat that there's like someone on the staff who is now at Jacksonville, who's been at other places where wide receivers were like their growth was stunted, and he.
No, that's no, you are correct. He is there.
I just can't remember who it is, and I want to like find out where he's been so I could be accurate. Are you trying to find it, JP?
No, keep looking.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember the name.
There's a coach on the staff of the Jacksonville Jaguars who has been at other locations, and while he was there, like had young talented wide receivers. Who is it? Edgar Bennett? He's the wide receivers coach.
Not him.
Okay. And while he was
It's their offensive coordinator.
it's the offensive coordinator.
Yes.
Okay. Well, Grant Udinski. That's the.
See, that doesn't sound right either.
I agree. That doesn't sound right. It was a tweet. I don't know if you can find the tweet, Jack.
I'll see what I
Shane
can do.
Waldron,
Thank
That's-
you.
yeah.
Thank you. What is he on the staff? I don't even see him.
passing game coordinator, according to McBride.
Okay,
That's what I looked
appreciate
up,
it,
and that-
Andrew. Thank you, Andrew.
Google does not claim he's a passing game coordinator.
Shane Waldron. Where
Yeah.
is he? Where has he been at? So he's been at the Bears, and we saw
Stunted Roma Dunze.
Roma Dunze didn't look great last year, and then at Seattle before that, and JSN didn't look good. He leaves Seattle to go to Chicago. JSN has a great year last year. Roma Dunze is bad. He leaves Chicago to come to Jacksonville. Rome Odunze looks great now in Chicago, and we're seeing Brian Thomas Jr. take a step back, and we're not seeing great play from Travis Hunter. That's exactly what I want to say, Andrew. Thank you. So Shane Waldron is potential, not the cause, but like that's something to keep an eye on. Is he a potential reason we're seeing Travis Hunter struggle in year one?
Maybe. I think there's a lot of external factors around the other situations not working out.
Yeah.
But like besides him, but there's a chance. I still would have. I don't know. I still would have trusted Liam Cohen more, I guess. Let's get into picking this game though.
Yeah, for sure.
Kansas City's favored by 3.5. I like them to cover. I think this is a game where Jacksonville's offense is finally going to have to like win them a game, and I trust the Chiefs' defense to not allow that to happen, to shut down Trevor Lawrence in a key moment, to stop ETN in a key moment, something like that, and come away with the win and cover the 3.5.
Yeah, I'll also pick Kansas City. Yeah, I want to pick Jacksonville just because I want to see Kansas City struggle, but I don't think they're going to. I also want to give a quick shout out to the Jags defense because in our preview, I had the take that their defense was not good last year, and they returned like 10 starters or something. It was like the same defense, and I was like, why would you expect the defense to get better when it's just the same players and a lot of the same staff? And they have improved. Actually, I don't know if it's the same staff, but they have improved to be really good this year. But I don't think they're going to be good enough, and I don't think the offense is going to be able to hang with the Chiefs this weekend or Monday.
I'm taking the Jaguars.
Let's
on
go.
prime
Some
time.
diversity.
I think they'll win and cover. I think this is I know I said in the opening, I feel like Kansas City's going to play Kansas City football. I would like to pump the brakes, though. I think the hype has now, the pendulum has just swung too far to them being a little bit overhyped. I just don't think we can pretend like the Chargers game and the Eagles game didn't happen. And I don't think the Jaguars are on the Chargers and Eagles par. But I don't think they're that far away, at least defensively. They're playing that way this year. With the way they're running the ball, I think they're playing that way this year. They've also got everything to play for. Like, this is their Super Bowl, at least at this point in the season. A win over Kansas City, you're 4-1. You're in a huge spot, and you knock Kansas City down to 2-3. It's prime time Monday Night Football in your building. I think all the emotion will be there. It'll be a huge crowd. And I think it'll help them a ton. I think they'll force a turnover or two on Patrick Mahomes. He averages 1 turnover per game in those games, like I said, and I think it'll be a key one. Give me Jacksonville to win and a nail biter, as every Kansas City primetime game ever is.
Sure.
But give me Jacksonville to win and cover. I would not bet Kansas City minus 3.5. I would bet them 2.5, which is what it opened, but I would not bet Kansas City minus 3.5.
Well, with that being said, JP, would you like to take us to your best bets of the weekend?
Yeah, so my best bets of the weekend. Last week we went 1-2. Georgia, unfortunately, couldn't complete it. They had big moments. They had every right to win that game, and they refused to for whatever reason. Kirby Smart lost his 34th game at home that he was going for 34 in a row. Best bets is now 6, 12, and 2 on the year. So we're due for 2 3-0 weeks is what the model says. And I got 3 best bets. I'm taking the Bulldogs plus 16.5 because it's what the hell it's being offered to me.
As a State fan and knowing that we're 6, 12, and 2 in the best bets, that makes me so nervous.
I will say I'm 0-2 on betting on my teams this year. I, of course, bet on New Orleans twice in best bets and lost both of them. I really consider putting New Orleans on this one at plus 1.5, but I'm banned from betting them. We are not banned from betting Mississippi State yet. Mississippi State is 5-0 against the spread. They're going to be 6-0 against the spread. 16.5 points is too much against A&M. No disrespect, but with Blake Shapen starting at quarterback, if it was Kamario Taylor, maybe it's a different story. But I think we're just too good at running the ball, at least to keep this game close. I think Shapen plays well enough. And if Brennan Thompson is playing, then we blow this out of the water. I'm not alone on this. This was Josh Bates, one of his best bets and he
Had
betted
us at 14.5.
14 and a half. So it's 16 and a half now.
Let's go see if he's tweeted anything.
That's too many points. I'm sure he'll mention it on the show tonight. That's too many points for an SEC matchup where if we look at just last week's results, State was right there in line with Tennessee in an overtime game, and A&M won by 6 points against Auburn. And it was an ugly, ugly contest, and Jack says he hates football because of that game. I think Dogs cover 16.5. I can't believe that's a spread that's out there, and it's on ESPN Bet. So if it's there tomorrow, I will be officially betting it. I've already bet them at plus 14, though, and I still like that. Dogs plus 16.5. My second best bet of the week comes from another SEC matchup, and I'm going to take Kent State plus 44.5 to cover the spread at Oklahoma this weekend. John Mateer will not play, and so that inserts Michael Hawkins Jr., who played last season in a few games for Oklahoma. He played in the Tennessee game. That was on prime time. They ended up losing 25-15. He won at Auburn in a game they never should have won, but a classic Hugh Freeze choke. He played in the Red River shootout against Texas, and then he played essentially the first quarter of the South Carolina game, threw 2 picks, and then Jackson Arnold was inserted. And it was Jackson Arnold's team the rest of the year. But Hawkins was not good, and he was without his 5 starting receivers. But
Sure.
still, to cover 45 points against Kent State, now Kent State's one of the worst teams in the country, and Oklahoma's coming off of a bye, but I just don't think they're going to be that explosive offensively. They haven't even been that with John Mateer. Even against Illinois State, they weren't explosive offensively, winning a game by 45. And that's an FCS school.
Yeah.
So give me Kent State to cover 44.5 with Michael Hawkins starting. He has never covered. Actually, no, he probably covered the spread against Auburn. I would assume his record against the spread is 1-3. But give me Kent State plus 44.5. That's too many points.
So for this game, with the Oklahoma defense, are you basically assuming that Kent State scores 0 and Oklahoma scores less than 45?
I don't think Kent State's not going to score. They've played Texas Tech and Florida State this year, both on the road. At Texas Tech, which we think is a really good defense, maybe on par with Oklahoma, they scored 14. At Florida State, they scored 10 points. So I think it's a bet of, do we think Michael Hawkins is going to score 55? And I don't know if I can rely on that.
Fair.
Has Oklahoma scored 55?
Oklahoma this year has not scored any higher than 42 at Temple. So 42 points against Temple, 35 against Illinois State. So even if they hold Kent State to 7, they have to win by scoring 52. I like Kent State plus 44.5. That's my second best bet of the weekend. And my final one comes from the NFL, and this is a spread that is currently on my offshore gambling site. The New England Patriots are 9-point dogs at Buffalo on Sunday Night Football, and I'm going to take the Patriots to cover 9. Buffalo has not been playing particularly great the past 2 weeks against Miami. In New Orleans, it'll be their 3rd straight game at home. Did not cover the spread in either of those 2 games. And Drake May, he's played 1 game against the Buffalo Bills at Buffalo last year. They had a lead in the 4th quarter in a game that Buffalo needed to win to try and secure the 2nd seed. Buffalo eked it out in the 4th. They were up 14-7 at halftime and had a lead in the 4th quarter, leading 21-17, but Buffalo won it 24-21. And I'm getting New England plus 9 points with a better head coach coming off a great performance against Carolina in a primetime game, which is almost always you're going to have closer games in primetime. It feels like New England plus 9, that feels like too many points. I think on ESPN the spread is 7.5. It's weird all the different spreads you're finding out there right now.
Sure.
but give me Drake May to cover the spread. He was not bad in that game either, I will add. He was 22 for 36, 2 touchdowns, had an interception, and then ran the ball pretty well. So he's not scared. He didn't play in the other game. They ended up playing Joe Milton. It was the final game of the season, if you remember. And Mitch Trubisky and Joe Milton were playing against each other, and he didn't play in that game. He was hurt. He had a concussion.
Yeah.
That he suffered pretty early in that game. So he's not scared of Buffalo. And with Mike Vrabel, I think they'll just play well. 9 points with Mike Vrabel, I think is too much.
Sure.
New England plus 9. That's a 3-0 weekend easily. And we're back to 9, 12, and 1 on the season. And that completes my best bets for this week.
I agree with a 3-0 weekend. Good stuff, JP. This is it. This is the turning point for the best bets. I fully believe
It
that.
has to be.
Do you want to address Chromie's question, JP, as the fantasy expert?
Do I start Demarcus Robinson or Devontae Smith? I would personally start Demarcus Robinson. He was wide receiver 3 tonight for San Francisco. It'll be his second game back from injury. He was on IR for the first 4 weeks of the season. He was put on the PUP list. He's back. Mac Jones is a starter. That means better throwing, at least better passing numbers. Now, Brock Purdy completes a ton of passes, but it just the volume, I think, is there more so for Mac Jones to feed other guys more than Brock Purdy likes to feed Christian McCaffrey. I don't think 49. I think the 49ers are going to be in this game. The spread is all the way up to, I want to say it's almost 9.5 now tonight. I think the 49ers are in this. Mac Jones is not that much of a downgrade.
I
over
just
Brock
saw
Purdy this
I
year.
just saw Mac Jones's pregame fit, and that may change your decisions.
Not styling.
Oh, whoa! Is he going Cruella de Vil mode?
That's wow.
Can I
Yeah.
see it again? Because I only saw.
Give me the Rams minus 9.5. I would still start Demarcus Robinson though. If you can find Kendrick Bourne, if he's still available, go grab Kendrick Bourne because he's wide receiver 2. But assuming you just have Jamarcus, I'd start Demarcus over Devontae. Devontae against the Broncos and that passing defense with Pat Surtain
and a
that pass
mad
rush,
AJ Brown.
I think they're gonna feed AJ Brown. I don't think Devontae Smith has a better day than Demarcus Robinson has tonight. So I'd start Demarcus personally.
I agree. And with that being said, that's all we have for the show. So we can get out of here, and I would say hit the road, but we got to wait on Win.
I still have to pack technically,
So, well, that's going to
but it's gonna take me like 3 minutes. I think Wynn's just gonna do laundry tonight,
Okay, cool.
so we'll be out of here in probably the next 20 minutes.
Bet.
Also, did you notice? Remember how the H came and the light was dead when we got it?
Oh,
it's
back?
alive.
No, it's not. I flipped the letter. It's just up at the
Oh,
top now.
That's so. All right, you just
My
tripped
bad.
me up so bad. That's crazy.
I didn't even notice I did that because I was about to be like, oh, yeah, you're right.
Good spot. Good spot.
With
Let's
that
wrap it
being
up.
said, yeah. Thanks to all who tuned in. Thanks especially today for Chromie and Andrew McBride in the chat. We really appreciate you hanging out with us and appreciate anyone else who listened or, listened live or who's going to catch the recording later. It means a lot. And we'll be back for y'all late Sunday night, I guess, to recap the weekend of college football post our College Station trip. And we may have some boots on the ground content for you in CSTAT too, potentially.
I'd hope so.
That's
We'll
the
see.
plan. That's the plan.
With that being said, peace. Thank you.
See ya.